Chapter 45:18. Faced with Huamin's question, Qin Chu could only remain silent because he didn't know how to answer. Honey. You said that when I give birth, Suyu will definitely come back, right? He's so rich, and he still wants to give me a big gift. I want to take the opportunity to scam him. Qin Chu remained silent. Hubby, are you jealous? Are you afraid that I'll treat Suyu too well and neglect you? Mian, it's late. Go to bed early. Qin Chu hugged Huamin tightly in his arms and didn't give her a chance to speak. He covered her with the blanket. After another 10 minutes, the bedroom was silent. Then, Qin Chu heard a soft sob. Huamin was crying. She knew that what she said was unrealistic and was lying to herself. Qin Chu's heart ached, but he knew that with Huamin's IQ, she didn't need to be comforted. She could only slowly walk out of this sadness on her own, at Suyu's private mansion. Boss, it's time to wash your face, in the morning, and walked over with a basin of water. Then, after wetting the towel, he carefully wiped Suyu's face. 3 days after returning to the real world. Soon, Suyu's personal lawyer arrived. Before Suyu entered the dream for the second time, he made a will plan. The company was handed over to Wei Liao and Tang Chuan, who each had half of the shares. However, Wei Liao was in charge of it for the time being. This was because Tang Chuan was not interested in business and drank all day long. Then, he gave his parents and grandfather his stocks and savings, including a Swiss bank account. Suyu still had 300 million genes. He gave them to Huamin's 3 children. Pudding, Little Bean, and the unborn baby in her stomach. Each of them received 100 million yuan. From the moment the child was born, they would receive money every year until the child was 100 years old. Suyu's car and private villa were given to An. He even gave An some shares of Imperial Star Group. Because Shaoan didn't know how to do business, Suyu planned to give him a bonus every year for his sake. Suyu's private villa and the dozens of luxury cars in the garage were also extremely expensive. And had followed Suyu for many years. In the end, Suyu only hoped that he could get married, have children, and live a good life. However, when the lawyer asked Shaoan to transfer the ownership, he was rejected. He was very emotional at that time and chased the lawyer away. He even scolded loudly, "What do you mean by transferring? My boss is not dead. He will wake up." And didn't want money, a villa, or a car. He just wanted to stay here quietly and wait for his boss to come back. Master Wu also stayed behind. Every day, he and An would guard Suyu. Although he didn't know what else he could do, he didn't know. At that moment, the doorbell rang. "Someone's here," Master Wu said. "I'll open the door." "Master Wu, you can go to the dining room. We'll be able to eat soon." And put down the towel in a low mood and wiped his hands. Then, he walked to the door and opened it. Seeing who it was, and was stunned for a moment. Then, his emotions became complicated again. Han Yueyao was back. Han Yueyao had gone overseas to film with the production team for a long time. She didn't know what had happened during this time. However, when she came back from filming, she heard that something had happened to her boss. She didn't even put on makeup. She wore a mask and came to Suyu's house with her hair disheveled. "And, where's President Su?" "In the room." And pointed. "Let me see." Han Yueyao rushed in impatiently and rushed into the room. When she saw the sleeping Suyu, her heart almost broke. "What the fuck is going on? I just went out to film, why did the boss become like this?" Han Yueyao stood in front of Suyu's bed and started crying. Chapter 45:19. "Miss Han, don't cry yet. I'm not done wiping the boss's face yet. Can you cry later?" And could understand Han Yueyao's feelings, but seeing her cry so loudly, he reminded her slightly. Upon hearing that he was going to wipe Suyu's face, Han Yueyao immediately volunteered, "I'll do it. Give me the towel." Give it to me. Don't dawdle. I'm a woman, after all." I'm more meticulous than you. Alright, then I'll have to trouble you. And couldn't persuade Han Yueao and could only give her the towel. Han Yueao sat in front of Su Yu's bed and carefully wet the towel. Then, she gently wiped Su Yu's cheeks. Then, she did it with his hands. After wiping his face, Han Yueao took out a nail clipper from her bag. She began to trim Su Yu's nails, seeing how much Han Yueao cared about Su Yu, and was filled with emotions. So many things had happened in the dream, and Miss Han had confessed to the boss. Unfortunately, that was all in the dream. Miss Han, do you like the boss? And blurted out. Han Yueao's back stiffened. Then, without looking back, she said, yeah, maybe the whole world knows that I like Su Yu. Only he doesn't know. No, the boss knows. He knows? Han Yueao was stunned. She turned around and looked at him curiously. Yeah, boss knows how you feel about him. In the nightmare, we experienced a lot. There was a fictional version of you, but you looked exactly like the real you. That version of you confessed to boss in the dream, and a lot of things happened. She had vaguely heard about Su Yu and the others entering the nightmare. Hearing En's words, Han Yueao had mixed feelings. Really? Then in my dream, did I take down Su Yu and sleep with him? Han Yueao pursed her lips and asked. Not really, but you and the boss are already very, very good friends. The boss treats you very well. This time, the boss even told Mr. Wei and the others that after they take over the company, they have to spare no effort to support you and make you the most popular celebrity. Who cares if I'm popular or not? I don't care. Back then, I only did this to earn money so that my parents could live a better life. Then she put down Su Yu's hand with tears in her eyes. When is this guy going to wake up? Seriously, he's such a good sleeper, and remained silent. Shaowen, I want to drink some wine. Do you have it at home? Yes, but it's so early in the morning. Won't drinking hurt your spleen and stomach? If I want to drink, I'll drink. Who cares so much? Then she wiped her tears and turned to leave. After packing up, and hurried to the dining room with Han Yueao. Han Yueao had never seen Master Wu before, so she glanced at him. Ah, this is my boss's master, Master Wu. Han Yueao nodded slightly in greeting. This is my boss's employee, and introduced awkwardly. Master Wu didn't say anything. And took out a bottle of red wine and placed it in front of Han Yueao. I don't want red wine. I want white wine, Han Yueao said. And sweated and returned the red wine to the wine cabinet. He took out a bottle of Maotai. Give me a bottle too, Master Wu said. What day is it today? Why are you drinking white wine so early in the morning? Is that okay? And said as he placed the white wine on the table. I want to give birth to Su Yu's child, Han Yueao suddenly said as she held the white wine bottle. Master Wu and An were stunned. Then, they both looked at Han Yueao. Chapter 45-20. An and Master Wu were both dumbfounded. Han Yueao poured herself a glass of white wine and took a small sip. Then she continued, I heard that Su Yu's sperm has been frozen. As long as I'm willing, I can give birth to his child using IVF technology. And looked at Han Yueao in shock. In the dream, Han Yueao had said the same thing, but not to An, but to Lady Su. She didn't expect this to happen again in the real world. Miss Han. And had mixed feelings and didn't know what to say. However, in his heart, if President Su didn't come back, it would be a good thing for the Su family and Su Yu to have a descendant. However, Miss Han was so young and beautiful with a limitless future. She was the most promising female celebrity promoted by Imperial Star. If she chose to have a child with IVF at this time, how was she going to live the rest of her life? Did she really have to watch over Su Yu, who was in a deep sleep? Miss. Don't be rash. We all know how you feel about Su Yu. But this isn't a small matter. You can't just give birth like a child. Master Wu was very rational. He also wanted to persuade Han Yueyao not to be rash and not do something she would regret. After all, giving birth to Su Yu's child wasn't something that could happen immediately. It still depended on whether the Su family agreed or not. Master, don't try to persuade me. I'm a stubborn person. I'll definitely do what I've decided. I'm not being rash. I like Su Yu. I'm willing to do anything for Su Yu. Even if he is no longer in this world, I'm still willing. With that, Han Yueyao downed a mouthful of white wine. She could be said to be a heroine. Han Yueyao liked Su Yu. This was a secret that everyone knew, even though things didn't progress as fast in the real world as in the dream. However, it still couldn't change Han Yueyao's fondness for Su Yu. She really liked him, deeply. When she went overseas to film, she would check Su Yu's WeChat moments and Weibo every day to see if he had updated his status. She even asked about Su Yu's recent situation from the company. She wanted to work hard and bring glory to the company. If she had the chance, she would sing a song for Su Yu at the celebration party and confess her love. Unfortunately, she didn't have the chance. Who would have thought that Su Yu would become like this without warning? Before Su Yu's accident, Han Yueyao didn't even have the time to meet him. When she heard that Su's accident, she was dumbfounded, she was in disbelief. It wasn't until she came to Su Yu's house and saw Su Yu's body that she realized what had happened. It wasn't a dream or a prank. Su Yu. She had forgotten that a gossip magazine reported that the Su family froze their baby because Su Yu refused to get married. Then, many scheming bitches tried to get their hands on Su Yu's baby so that they could enter the Su family. Even if they didn't enter the Su family, they would be able to live a carefree life because of their children. However, it was said that Su Yu's baby was in the military hospital and was heavily protected. Without the permission of Su Yu and the Su family, no one could enter. Therefore, Han Yueyao's impromptu idea had to depend on the Su family's decision. Miss Han, we all know that you're good to my boss. But I don't think we can make the decision on such a big matter. You'd better discuss it with Auntie. Besides, you're an unmarried girl. If you do such a thing, what will happen to you in the future? Do you still want to get married? Chapter 45-21. I'll talk to Auntie Su, Han Yueyao glanced at An and said firmly. It was as if she had already made up her mind about this matter. Let's eat. Everyone must be hungry. Let's see if my food is to your liking. And picked up some food for Master Wu and Han Yueyao. Han Yueyao didn't move her chopsticks. Instead, she downed the white wine in her glass. Then, she stood up. I can't eat anymore. I'll leave first. I'll come and see Su Yu again. With that, Han Yueyao left without looking back, afraid that others would see the tears in her eyes. This girl is pretty good, Master Wu commented after Han Yueyao left. And sighed as he poured wine for Master Wu. Yeah, I think Miss Han is a good person too. But it can't be helped. It doesn't matter who says she's good. My boss doesn't like her. Is it because of that female doctor? Master Wu asked an ahem. You know everything. Su Yu told me. Huh? My boss told you about Dr. Hua? Yeah, he told me a little. I saw that kid yesterday too. I can tell that he's a good person. Master Wu recalled Hua Min. At the mention of Hua Min, and let out another long sigh. Of course, Dr. Hua has nothing to say. Anyone who knows her character will like her. She's a very independent girl with her own personality. She's magnanimous and calm, and she's been really good to my boss these few years. However, no matter how good Dr. Hua is, she has a family and children. She can be friends with my boss, but as for a relationship, there's no chance. That's why it's an ill-fated relationship. Master Wu sighed. He knew that if it weren't for Hua Min, Su Yu wouldn't have risked his life to enter the dream a second time. Of course, a person's heart was limited. If it contained one person, it wouldn't be able to contain another. Therefore, no matter how good the others were, Su Yu couldn't see them. No matter how imperfect Huamin was, she was still Su Yu's true love. South Hill Manor. After answering Lu Yan's call, Qin Chu went upstairs to check on Huamin worriedly. After Lu Yan and the professor left, she was worried about Huamin. Lu Yan called from time to time to ask about Huamin. Huamin's situation was very bad. Almost every time she opened her mouth, the two words, Su Yu, would not leave her mouth. Pudding and Little Bean would cry every time their mother mentioned handsome Su. In the end, the three of them hugged each other and cried. As for Qin Chu, the head of the family, as a husband and as a father, he felt even more upset. Qin Chu hung up the phone and went upstairs. When she entered the bedroom, she found that Huamin had already finished washing up. "You're up, honey." Qin Chu greeted her gently. Huamin nodded. "The weather forecast said that it's getting warmer today. It looks like winter is almost over. So I took out the cashmere coat you bought for me last year. Does it make me look younger?" Huamin was wearing a cashmere coat that Qin Chu bought for her when he went to Hong Kong on a business trip. The style was simple but beautiful. The beige color made Huamin look a lot more energetic. If one didn't look at her round belly and only looked at her face, one would think that she was a young and energetic college student. "Mian, are you going out?" Seeing her dressed like this, Qin Chu knew that she was going out. "Yeah. I'm going to South Side today to visit my old colleagues and do a prenatal checkup to check on the baby. I'll go with you." "It's okay. You go to work. I can go by myself." "No, I'll go with you." Qin Chu insisted on going with her. After all, Su Yu's incident was a big blow to Huamin. He was afraid that she would be distracted and have an accident. "Honey, can you buy South Side for me?" Huamin walked over slowly and wrapped her arms around Qin Chu's neck, acting like a spoiled child. Chapter 45-22. Qin Chu hugged Huamin and was slightly surprised. "Why do you want to buy South Side?" "Because I want to fight for my dignity. Because of Xingro, President Wu and I lost our jobs because of her father. Now that I'm back at South Side, I'm not the deputy director anymore. The baby is unhappy." Seeing Huamin's coquettish tone, Qin Chu smiled deeply. "Okay, buy it. If you like it, we'll buy it. Then I want to be the director this time, not the deputy director." "Okay, if you like it, I'll buy all the hospitals in Sea City for you." "No, I like South Side." "Okay." Qin Chu would never refuse Huamin's request. It was rare for his beloved wife to take the initiative to ask for something. How could Qin Chu not agree to it? Then, after breakfast, Qin Chu drove Huamin to South Side for a prenatal checkup. The twins were picked up by Tang Chuan and Qin Ning and sent to the Su family's house. This was Qin Chu's idea. He was afraid that Lady Su would be too sad, so the twins didn't go to school for the next few days. Every day, they went back and forth between South Hill Manor and the Su family's old mansion. When the twins arrived, Lord Su and Mr. Su happened to be back. After hearing about what happened to Su Yu, the old man seemed to have aged a lot overnight. Then, he didn't say a word and just smoked. "Dad, take care of yourself. Don't smoke so much," Mr. Su advised. "I'm already so old. Even if I die now, it's worth it." "But my poor Yu, he's only 30 years old." As Lord Su spoke, the whole family cried together. When the twins entered, they saw this sad scene. Little Bean quickly ran over and climbed into Lord Su's arms. She wiped the old man's tears. "Great-grandpa, be good. Don't cry. I have durian candy for you." As she spoke, Little Bean took out a piece from her pocket and stuffed it into the old man's mouth. The old man was also unyielding. He had worked hard in the army all his life, and his bones were firm and unyielding. When she saw the two children, she forced herself to hold back her tears. "Great-grandpa, I think handsome Su will come back. He won't leave us behind. Look, we love him so much," Little Bean said. Master Lord Su nodded with tears in his eyes. He didn't say anything else, but he felt even worse. Pudding, on the other hand, brought tissues to Mr. and Mrs. Su. Then, he didn't say anything and just silently accompanied her. Pudding. Did you miss your Uncle Su? Lady Su hugged Pudding and rubbed her face against Pudding's as she asked in a hoarse voice. Yes, I really do. I dream of him almost every night, Pudding said. Good child. Lady Su still wanted to say something, but the moment she opened her mouth, it was filled with tears. Lord Su, Grandma Su, Great-Grandpa. We're all sad to see handsome Su like this, but we have to be strong. I'm sure handsome Su doesn't want us to be like this. Pudding is right. You definitely doesn't like us crying, Mr. Su said as he wiped his tears. Our handsome Su will definitely wake up. He's just too tired and is sleeping. We don't have to be so sad. Little Bean's childish voice echoed in the empty living room, but everyone's hearts felt even heavier. Suyu wasn't dead, but if he didn't wake up, it was no different from being dead. He kept giving everyone hope, but he also disappointed them. At this moment, Lady Su thought of something. She looked at Lord Su and said, Dad, about that girl. My dad and I both think it's feasible. What do you think? As long as you agree, we can take it out. No, I don't agree, Lord Su refused immediately. Chapter 45-23. Lady Su looked at her husband. The two of them looked at each other and didn't dare to speak. Master Lord Su continued, I understand how you feel. I also want our Su family to have a descendant, but we can't harm her. She's a pure and innocent girl. She's not our surrogate. Why should she give birth to our family's child? It's fine if he wakes up, but if he doesn't, how is she going to live the rest of her life? Yu's situation is already a tragedy for our Su family. We can't implicate others. Dad. Lady Su wanted to say something. Don't say any more. I don't agree with this. I won't do something that goes against my family just because my grandson is gone. Besides, Yu is gone. What's the use of having a child? As the old saying goes, if the pot is gone, what's the use of buying a pot lid? Master Lord Su's meaning was obvious. Su Yu was irreplaceable in his heart. Even if they used IVF to give birth to a child with the Su family's genes, what was the use? Could he replace Su Yu? Obviously not. Su Yu's position in this family was irreplaceable. After Hua Min went to South Side, he talked to some of his old colleagues. Then, he did a prenatal checkup and saw that the baby was fine. Chin Chu helped Hua Min into the car. Are you hungry? Shall I take you to eat? Hua Min shook his head. I've already discussed the acquisition of the hospital. It'll probably take a week. When you give birth, this hospital will be our family's. Okay. Are you feeling unwell? Seeing that Hua Min wasn't in a good mood, Chin Chu asked carefully. I want to see Su Yu. Okay. Faced with Hua Min's request, Chin Chu didn't say anything and drove Hua Min to Su Yu's mansion. As soon as they arrived, Chin Chu received a call from Chin Ning. She said that Tang Chuan was drunk and got into a fight with someone. Chin Chu quickly drove to Tang Chuan's place. After Hua Min entered, he took off his jacket. He was only wearing a light green knitted sweater inside. President Hua. And had been Hua Min's chauffeur for more than 3 years to protect her. Therefore, he was used to calling him President Hua Min. Yes, have you guys eaten? Yes, I have. I'm here to see Su Yu, Hua Mian said. Okay, I'll take you there. No need. You do what you need to do. I'll go in and have a look. Then, Hua Min's Su. He had changed into comfortable pajamas. They were white, Su Yu's favorite color. Su Yu's face was very clean. And washed his face and shaved his beard every morning. There was no trace of sloppiness at all. Hua Min made a small stool and sat down in front of Su Yu's bed. Then, she glanced at Su Yu's dry lips. She took out a cotton swab from her bag. She took out the mineral water she carried with her, she wet the cotton swab and wiped Su Yu's lips. As she wiped, she spoke. I went to the hospital for a checkup today. The baby is very healthy and his heartbeat is very strong. Everyone said that he will be a strong young man in the future. It's very close to his due date. He might be out in less than a week. You must be happy for him, right? You said, when I give birth, you will prepare a big gift for me. So, you have to wake up early. Don't go back on your word, do you hear me? You have to buy a gift, and it has to be very, very expensive. I know you're rich, so I have to scam you. Huamin smiled after she finished speaking. However, her words did not receive any response. Su Yu was still in a deep sleep. Even his eyelashes did not move. Chapter 45-24. Huamin smiled and continued, Today, I begged my husband to buy South Side for me. Isn't that rich? I want to learn from you. You spend a lot of money. After buying South Side, I can continue to be the director. When the time comes, you have to support me. When you wake up, tell all the employees of Imperial Star that they have to go to South Side twice a day. That way, I won't have to worry about not having business. Huamin muttered to himself in Su Yu's room, and listened at the door for a while and felt a little uncomfortable. Master Wu, why do I feel like President Hua is crazy? Why is he talking to my boss alone? And walked over and said to Master Wu. What do you know? This is called longing. Master Wu shook his head and looked at An as he said that Huamian was crazy. This kid was drunk. All right. I can't understand what you cultured people are saying. I'm going to buy groceries. Today, I'm going to make squirrel mandarin fish. It's my boss's favorite. If he wakes up, he'll be able to eat delicious fish, and placed his hopes on every day. He even imagined that one day, when he woke up, he would see his boss in a bathrobe, drinking beer, playing with his phone, and watching football in the living room. That would be a very, very big surprise. After An left, Huamin sat alone in Su Yu's room for a while and talked to Su Yu for a while. Then, he got up. I'm leaving first. You have to wake up early. I'll come and see you in a few days. I'll bring you flowers. Do you like lilies or hyacinths? There was still no response. If you don't say anything, that means you like both. I'll buy some of both then. Then, Huamin picked up his bag and left. As soon as he left, he saw Master Wu standing at the door. He was smoking a cigarette. Huamin glanced at Master Wu's cigarette. He immediately put it out. Sorry, I'm addicted to smoking. It's okay. I'm about to give birth, so it won't affect me, Huamin said. Can we talk? All right. Knowing that this person was Su Yu's master and that he was a good person who had helped them a lot, Huamin agreed to Master Wu's request. The two of them walked to the balcony and looked at the scenery of the neighborhood. Master Wu spoke first. I know that the person Su Yu can't let go of is actually you. He entered the dream a second time. He said it was for everyone, but it was still to save you. Huamin didn't say anything, but he felt a lump in his throat and wanted to cry. I've finally seen this kid's temper. He's as stubborn as an old bull. Even as his master, he wouldn't listen to me. I even told him that he was rich and powerful and didn't need anything. He had finally escaped from the nightmare, so he should just live a good life and not go back. But he didn't want to. He even used the fastest way to go back. He didn't even greet his family. He's afraid that his family will be sad, Huamin said. Master Wu nodded. There were many people that day, so I was too embarrassed to tell you some things, especially since your man was there. Tell me today. Huamin was still calm. Master Wu took out a crumpled note from his pocket. Then, he handed it to Huamin. This is what this kid wrote before he entered the dream a second time. He said, if there's a chance, he wanted me to give this to you. Before Huamin could read it, Master Wu added, "It's not a deposit slip or a check. It's just a sentence he wrote. Let me make it clear in advance that I didn't peek." Huamin took the note with a heavy heart. Her rationality told her that she shouldn't open this. She shouldn't read it. Reading it would only make her feel worse. However, her emotions told her that this was written by Suyu himself and was the last thing he left for her. Just like that, after some hesitation, Huamin opened the note that Suyu had written. Chapter 45-25. In the next life, can it be you instead? Shed your pride and love me so much that you go crazy. When Huamin finished reading this sentence, her tears fell like a broken string of beads. It was confirmed that it was Suyu's handwriting. Even the note was crumpled. Such a literary style was not like Suyu's usual tone. But Huamin knew that he must have written it. Because he knew that after entering the dream for the second time, he would never come back. Whether he could save everyone or not, he would never come back, so writing such words under that kind of mood was probably the truest feeling in Suyu's heart. Ever since Qin Chu came back from the United States and reunited with her, Suyu had been suppressing his feelings for Huamin. He didn't dare to let others see it and deliberately kept a distance from her. He even reduced the number of times they met and rarely met alone. It was to avoid arousing suspicion. It wasn't that he was afraid that Qin Chu would be jealous. It was just because Suyu knew that Huamin had a complete family, a man who loved her deeply, and her children. And as an intruder, he appeared later than Qin Chu. The most important thing was that Huamin only had Qin Chu in her heart from the beginning to the end. Suyu knew that there was no hope in this life. Even if Qin Chu didn't come back from the United States, his proposal wouldn't have succeeded. Because Huamin couldn't change the price. Especially after giving birth to Qin Chu's children, it was even more impossible for her to remarry him. Suyu used to be an atheist. Later, when he saw Huamin occasionally practicing Buddhism, he was more or less influenced. Later, he even believed in the past life and the present life. Buddhism said that people had 3 lives of karma. What they cultivated in the past life, they would suffer in this life, and what they cultivated in this life, they would enjoy in the next life. Therefore, Suyu wondered if there was really an afterlife. Could he be given a chance to take care of Huamin just once? Just once would be enough. Master Wu did not peek at what was written on the note, but he could roughly guess. After all, Suyu's words were like his last words. Huamin wouldn't feel good if he heard them. Huamin's hands trembled violently as he held the note. Then, she cried for a very long time. In the end, the baby in her stomach moved violently, and she managed to control her emotions. The baby seemed to have sensed his mother's agitation as well. He was so scared that he kept turning around in her stomach. Huamin gasped for breath. He felt like he was about to suffocate. No one had ever made her feel so bad before, not even when Huasiqian died. Huamin saw with his own eyes that in the dream, Huasiqian snatched her explosives and wanted to die together with Layla. Then, he was blown to pieces. That scene was already heartbreaking. But now, Suyu had left her this message in the real world, even though he was in her dream. Huamin felt a sharp pain in his chest. "Child, are you okay?" Master Wu was a little worried. After all, Huamin was a pregnant woman who was about to give birth. Huamin was crying so hard that he couldn't speak. He just kept shaking his head. "Calm down, you're still pregnant." After a while, Huamin gradually calmed down. "Master Wu, did Suyu say anything else when he gave you this note?" "He didn't say anything. I could tell that he was quite conflicted and almost tore it apart. In the end, I said that if he wanted to say goodbye, he should say goodbye properly. A man shouldn't be shy, so he decided to leave this for you. I actually thought about not giving it to you. After all, Suyu is already like this. You'll only feel bad if you see this, but if I don't give it to you, it's equivalent to depriving him of his last chance to talk to you. So..." Master Wu didn't feel good either and kept smoking. "Master Wu, Can you think of a way to send me into the dream to accompany Suyu? Huamin suddenly asked him. Chapter 45-26. Mian, what are you doing? Master Wu froze for a moment. The cigarette ash burned his fingers. I want to accompany Suyu. Don't do anything stupid. Calm down. Suyu has already sacrificed himself to send everyone back. If you go back like this, his sacrifice will be in vain. Do you know that the biggest reason why Suyu is so determined to enter the dream a second time is because of you? He'll only be at ease if you're doing well. Master Wu understood his disciple's bad temper. Huamin was really Suyu's tribulation. But I'm not doing well. I miss Suyu. Whenever I think about my friend being left alone in that lonely and cold place, and being trapped for the rest of his life, or even forever, I can't sleep or eat in peace. How can I be fine? Master Wu moved his lips, wanting to say something, but he didn't know how to refute Huamin. Master Wu, tell me the truth. Where is Suyu trapped? How long will he be trapped? Is he not even going to have a chance to reincarnate? Huamin looked at Master Wu with tears in her eyes. I really don't know about this because I've never experienced it before. But logically speaking, he should be trapped there forever. Huamin clutched her chest and looked up, tears rolling down her face. I don't want Suyu to be like that. It's unfair to him. What did he do wrong? To be punished like this. Those dream creators came for me, for Yen, and for my father. For the red demon, it has nothing to do with Suyu. I can't let him bear such serious consequences. Master Wu, I beg you. Send me in. Huamin wanted Master Wu to send her into the dream. It's not that I don't want to help you. Mian, the dream creator, is dead. That dream is already a deserted place. There's no exit, but there's no entrance either. I can't send you in. Hearing that Master Wu couldn't do anything, Huamin was in despair. She only felt her vision go black, and then she completely fainted on the ground. When she woke up again, she was already in the VIP ward at South Side. Qin Chu sat beside her, guarding her. Qin Chu's eyes were bloodshot, and his beard was unshaven. It seemed that he had been unconscious for a long time. Hubby, don't move. Lie down. Qin Chu immediately pressed her down. Hubby, how long have I been asleep? 1 day and 1 night. Qin Chu said. So you've been sitting here for a day and a night? Huamin asked him. Qin Chu gave a haggard smile, even the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes could be clearly seen. Are you stupid? Don't you need to sleep? Huamin looked at Qin Chu with heartache. Are you stupid? Don't you care about our child? Qin Chu asked her. Huamin felt extremely guilty. She was indeed a little selfish. She wanted to find Suyu and repay Suyu's kindness. However, she ignored her husband, her daughters, and the child in her belly. Hubby. I'm sorry. Don't say sorry. There's no need to say sorry between us anymore. I, Qin Chu, can forgive you whatever you do, Huamin, even if it means destroying the world. But please don't leave me behind. You know, I can't lose you, never. Qin Chu's tone was gentle and every word was clear. He reached out and held Huamin's wrist, like a pitiful child who was about to be abandoned. Huamin had never seen Qin Chu like this. At this moment, he was so helpless and terrified. Mian. Don't leave me behind. If you want to leave, take me with you. Chapter 45-27. Huamin's impulse was probably because he saw the note Suyu left behind. After Huamin fainted, Master Wu quickly called in, and then quickly found Qin Chu. Master Wu put away the note and burned it. Although it was nothing, he couldn't let Qin Chu see it. Otherwise, he would feel terrible. After calming down, Huamin calmed down a lot. Jixin and Bella brought Yang Meirong to the hospital to accompany Huamin. With his family around, Huamin's mood was better. Bella didn't enter the dream, just like the twins. Therefore, she was in a good state of mind. Jixin, did you tell Sis about that? Bella looked at Jixin shyly. You should announce this yourself, Jixin said with a smile. Let Mom do it. I'm embarrassed. Bella held Yang Meirong's hand. Yang Meirong wiped Huamin's forehead with a handkerchief and said with a smile, Mian, Bella is pregnant. Really? That's a good thing. Huamin's eyes lit up. This was probably the best news he had heard recently. Yeah, it's been more than a month, but the two kids didn't say anything. I just found out. You're going to be an aunt. Yeah, I'm going to be an aunt. When the babies are born, I have to give them a big gift, Huamin mumbled. Jixin quickly interrupted her, I don't want any big gifts. Sis, you've done enough for me all these years. I just want you to live a safe and happy life. Tears welled up in Huamin's eyes. Seeing that Huamin was about to cry, Bella quickly continued, Sis, I only have one request. Can you give me some of Little Bean's and Pudding's childhood clothes? I'll save money and buy them for the babies. No, our baby can't wear old clothes. He has to wear new ones. I'll take care of all his clothes. Huamin said with a smile. Qin Chu was at the door. He was relieved when he saw Huamin smile through the glass window. Then, he called the professor and drove to the Su family's house. This was also the first time that Qin Chu had paid a visit to Su Yu's family after the incident. Su family mansion. When the guard saw Qin Chu's license plate number, he let him pass. Qin Chu's visit this time was different from the past. He didn't buy anything and came empty-handed. It was Lady Su who opened the door. Seeing Qin Chu, Lady Su nodded. Chu, you're here. Auntie, come in. Everyone is here. Your Lord Su is also home. How is Lord Su? Old Master's old illness is acting up again. He's been coughing recently. It was obvious that the Su family was still silent and sad. The twins had been staying at the Su family's house for the past few days. With the two children here, the Su family's house didn't seem so empty. Daddy, you're here. Little Bean ran over when she saw Qin Chu. Daddy, is Mommy here? Little Bean asked. No, your mommy is about to give birth. She has to stay in the hospital for the next few days. Qin Chu squatted down and patted Little Bean's head. Then, he pinched Little Bean's face. He had been so busy these past few days that he didn't have the mood to take care of the two children. Fortunately, they were sensible. They also lived well in the Su family. They didn't cry or make a fuss. This saved Qin Chu a lot of trouble. These past few days, Mian alone was enough for him to worry about. Wow, so soon. Qin Guogua is coming out, right? Then I'll have a new toy in the future. Little Bean clapped her hands and said. Qin Guogua? What do you mean? Lady Su was stunned by the two children. Chapter 45-28. Little Bean immediately grabbed Lady Su's hand and said with a smile, Qin Guogua is my brother's nickname. It means that he will often be the scapegoat in the future. You child. That's a terrible name. Don't call him that, Lady Su chided with a smile. Auntie, is Uncle home? He just went out to do something. He'll probably be back later. You can eat here later. I'll call him. Okay. Qin Chu nodded. Then, after hugging the two children, he got up and went upstairs to Lord Su's study. When Qin Chu entered, Grandpa Su was reading something with his reading glasses. Seeing Qin Chu enter, he put down his things. Only then did Qin Chu see clearly that it was a photo of Su Yu in military uniform. Before Qin Chu could speak, Grandpa Su took the initiative to say, "This was taken when you first joined the army." At that time, he was still arrogant and unruly. He was a famous troublemaker in the Southwest military region. No army was willing to take him. Later, I made up my mind and sent him to the Special Forces. Qin Chu felt very guilty. He lowered his head and said to Lord Su. Lord Su, I'm sorry. It's all because of us that Su Yu. Hey, Chu, let's not talk about this. I know Yu's personality. If he was a coward and lived on his own without caring about anyone else, I would be angry. That's how a man of the Su family should behave. My grandson did the right thing, and as his grandfather, I'm proud of him. I'm even more relieved that he was able to save everyone. Grandpa Su spoke from the bottom of his heart. Although something happened to Su Yu, Grandpa Su felt that his grandson did nothing wrong and was the pride of the Su family. Qin Chu didn't say anything, but he felt very sad. Su Yu was the only son of the Su family. Lord Su only had one precious grandson. But now, when Yu was young, he had a fiery temper. His father and I beat him up a lot, but he just wouldn't give in. He's really stubborn. Later, when he went to the military, his temper became even worse. He's very similar to me. When his grandmother was alive, she always said that Yu is exactly like me. He's the root of the Su family. After hearing this, Qin Chu walked over and picked up Su Yu's photo from the table. It was indeed very old. When Su Yu joined the army, he was only in his teens and hadn't even finished school. Moreover, he was a special forces soldier. He would definitely suffer a lot. In Qin Chu's mind, he kept thinking about how Su Yu had fought alongside him. The subtle friendship that the two of them had established, if not for Su Yu, they would not have known that they were in a dream, let alone the four dream creators. It was true that Su Yu had saved everyone, but it was also true that Su Yu had sacrificed himself. Master Lord Su. Mian and I are very sad about Su Yu. I'm a person with a sharp tongue, so I won't say anything. I just want to tell you that from now on, Mian and I, Pudding and Little Bean, will be your closest relatives. We will always take care of you, Auntie Su, and Uncle Su. I will be filial to you on behalf of Su Yu. After saying this, Qin Chu knelt down in front of Lord Su. However, before he could touch the ground, the old man reached out to help him up. Chu, I understand your intentions. I'm satisfied with your words. You don't have to kneel to me. I appreciate your intentions. I've seen your and Mian's characters for the past few years, and I've treated you like my own children. So, there's no need for us to say this. It's enough that we have it in our hearts. Although he said that, Qin Chu still felt that Lord Su had aged a lot overnight. Master Lord Su, I'm here today, because I have something important to report to you. Qin Chu's expression was serious. Chapter 45-29. Okay, sit down and talk. Lord Su pointed at the armchair beside him and asked Qin Chu to sit down. My father-in-law. Mian's father, Professor Lu, just called me. He found some clues. These might be related to the boss behind the four dream creators. And this person is in China now. Take a look, do you recognize these signs? As he spoke, Qin Chu took out his phone and showed Lord Su some photos. Lord Su's expression changed drastically. Chu, where did you get these? They were all given to me by my father-in-law, Professor Lu. Is it accurate? Is the source reliable? Yes, it's very reliable. My father-in-law has a good relationship with the higher-ups of the FBI and can use a lot of high-level documents. After Qin Chu said this, the old man fell silent. However, his eyes were fixed on the photos. It was obvious that he recognized them. Qin Chu continued, the four dream creators came from a mysterious organization in the world called the Doomsday Death God. This organization has existed for 30 years, and outsiders don't know the exact number of members and whereabouts. They only know that it's a secret assassin organization. However, they don't know that their assassin identities are only on the surface. In fact, they've been doing some ambitious experiments. The red demon that my father-in-law developed many years ago is one of their treasures. This time, they went all out. The 4 dream creators weaved a huge net for us. If it weren't for Suyu, all of us might have died inside. Now that the dream creators are dead, the conspiracy hasn't stopped. My father-in-law once found some key passwords on one of the dream creators, the one who pretended to be Dr. Linya. After returning to the real world, my father-in-law spent 3 days to crack the passwords and found these photos. What does the professor mean now? Lord Su asked Qin Chu. His meaning is very simple. He asked me to show these to you. You've been in the military for many years, so you must know these. You might already know who they are. I do know these, and I do know this person. Lord Su's expression was complicated. Is he from the military? Qin Chu asked tentatively. I really didn't expect him to have such power. Perhaps you don't know, but he retired 3 years ago. He's been living in a paradise near his hometown in Shaanxi, Mount Zhongnan. He doesn't care about worldly affairs. I always thought that he was the most aloof and free person among us elders. I didn't expect him to have such wild ambitions. He actually wants to obtain the red demon. Lord Su, you also know what the red demon is? Qin Chu was somewhat surprised. Of course, this is top secret. Only a few people know about it. Back then, we wanted to get our hands on it too. Later, after weighing the pros and cons, we gave up. If mankind wants to develop in the long term, we must not develop anything related to nuclear weapons. Otherwise, once the war breaks out, Earth will cease to exist. Although our country may think this way, other countries may not. Russia and America have always been restless. Otherwise, they would not have detained your father-in-law until now. It's not appropriate for a commoner like me to comment on national affairs. Chu, leave this matter to me. If it's really him, then I'll settle the score with him. Because my grandson was destroyed by him. Okay. After leaving Lord Su's house, Qin Chu went to the villa in the suburbs. Layla had once been imprisoned here, but after Linya died, Layla was reduced to ashes. Now, the person locked up here was Zheng Ro. Qin Chu? You actually came back alive. Zheng Ro was captured by Su Yu and was later tied up by Master Wu in the basement of the Su family. After Qin Chu returned, he ordered someone to move her away, but he had never interacted with her directly. Chapter 45-30. Qin Chu glanced at Zheng Ro's face coldly. What? You didn't expect this, did you? Yes, it seems like after Su Yu entered the dream for the second time, you guys worked together to kill all the dream creators. Zheng Ro had met Su Yu before and knew what Su Yu was going to do. Even though she was a hypnotist, it was inevitable that she had some true feelings for Su Yu. Therefore, when she heard that Su Yu was going to enter the dream for the second time, Zheng Ro was agitated and strongly opposed it. However, it did not stop Su Yu's final decision. Now that Qin Chu and the others had left the dream safe and sound, Su Yu's fate was obvious. Yes. Zheng Ro looked up and looked into Qin Chu's eyes with a complicated expression. She asked him, so where's Su Yu? He stayed there. Yes, Qin Chu replied with one word. Zheng Ro's heart ached when she heard that. He, Su Yu, that fool. In the end, he's still willing to sacrifice himself for Huamin. Those who are trapped in the nightmare forever have no afterlife or present life. They only have endless loneliness. Zheng Ro, let's negotiate. Qin Chu didn't want to hear Zheng Ro sigh. He just wanted to talk to her about serious matters. I'm already like this. I'm just a prisoner. How can I negotiate? Zheng Ro sneered. Tell me how to save Su Yu. I'll let you go and not hurt you at all, Qin Chu said. Zheng Ro suddenly looked up and smiled sharply. You want to save Su Yu? Yes. Qin Chu, you have to know that he's your love rival. Without Suyu, now that Hua Xiqian is dead and Suyu is gone. Hua Min is yours alone. Why do you still want to save him? Zheng Rou might not understand that Qin Chu and Suyu were love rivals and found it unbelievable. But he's also my best friend, Qin Chu said word by word. Zheng Rou was shocked and in disbelief, but in the end, she understood. So, tell me how to save Suyu, no matter the cost. Seeing Hua Min in pain, Qin Chu not only couldn't bear to see his wife's tea, but he also couldn't leave Suyu alone in the nightmare. Otherwise, these people who were still alive would never be able to sleep. After all, their peaceful life was exchanged for by Suyu's life. If that's the case, then I'll tell you the truth. There's no way to solve Suyu's problem. Impossible. Qin Chu frowned slightly, his voice wavering. It doesn't matter if you believe me or not. I'm not lying. All the dream creators are dead, and the nightmare has collapsed. There's not even an entrance. No one can save Suyu. Just accept your fate. Huh. Isn't it contradictory? If the dream creators don't die, they might still have a chance to send Suyu out. But if the dream creators don't die, you people won't wake up from your dreams. So, this is really contradictory. Qin Chu, it's impossible to save Suyu. It's useless even if you find anyone. This is the truth. If I had a way, do you think I would watch Suyu stay in that godforsaken place forever? Zheng Rou smiled as tears rolled down her cheeks. As a hypnotist, she had long lost her feelings and heart. However, Suyu, this fool, made her believe once again that there was such a devoted person in this world. Hearing Zheng Rou's words and looking at her expression, she didn't seem to be lying. Qin Chu's heart sank to the bottom. Qin Chu, don't think that you can rest easy just because you came out alive. You killed the 4 dream creators of the Doomsday Death God. The boss won't let you off. Chapter 45-31. The boss you're talking about is Chief Y, right? Qin Chu's casual words made Zheng Rou's expression change drastically. How did you know? The professor cracked the code on the dream creator, and found some clues. I'm afraid he can't even protect himself now. Master Lord Su lost his grandson and is looking for someone to take revenge. You. Zheng Rou didn't expect them to find out so quickly. Zheng Rou had always known the boss's identity and had been in contact with him for a long time. However, she didn't dare to say it, not even if she was beaten to death. After all, she was afraid that she would implicate her family. You're so obedient to him because of your family's scandal, right? All these years, your Zheng family's officials haven't been very clean. There must be a lot of evidence in his hands. Qin Chu, you're really smart. You know everything. As the dream creator who lured us into the dream, you really deserve to die. But I won't kill you. I'll lock you up for the rest of your life. I'll let you experience the same pain as Suyu. Qin Chu hated Zheng Rou to the core. He had never hated a woman so much. He should have shot her to death, but he knew that killing her wouldn't save Suyu. Qin Chu was actually testing Zheng Rou. He knew a thing or two from Lord Su, but he wasn't sure. Now that he had confirmed the culprit, he turned to leave. Suddenly, he heard a low moan. He turned around and saw Zheng Rou biting her tongue. Her mouth was full of blood. Qin Chu didn't say anything. Perhaps he knew that Zheng Rou no longer had any desire to live and that the situation was hopeless. Even the boss behind this had been found out by them. What was a lackey like Zheng Rou? After Qin Chu left, he ordered someone to burn down the villa in the suburbs. Zheng Rou mysteriously disappeared. That night, Qin Chu received insider information. Secretary Zheng was investigated by the Anti-Corruption Bureau for corruption. And the Zheng family was arrested one after another. Another even more secret was that night, the former chief of a certain military region, Y, died of an illness at home. The next morning, Lord Su announced that he would retire early and return to Sea City. All of this happened very suddenly. Of course, ordinary people couldn't see any clues, but Qin Chu knew that there was something fishy going on. On the way to the hospital, Qin Chu received a call from the professor. "Dad," Qin Chu said affectionately. "Chu, I've received news that Y is dead." "Was it done by the old man from the Su family?" "Yes. After his death, Doomsday Reaper God officially disintegrated. Little Yan's people killed all the remaining members of Doomsday Reaper God." "Where's Xiao Fei? Have you found him?" "Not yet. Xiao Yan is still sending people to look for him," said the professor. "I'm in Iceland now. I'm here to visit ya, Dr. Linya. Is she all right?" Actually, the Linya he saw back then was a dream creator. At that time, the professor had already entered the dream. Therefore, when he went to the cave in Iceland in his dream, he didn't see Linya's body and thought that she had run away. Now that he had returned to the real world and gone to Iceland, Linya's body was still there, but she was still the same. Her brain was dead and she was frozen. However, for the professor and Huamin, this was the best outcome. After all, Linya hadn't turned bad. She was still the best wife, the best mother, and the beauty who had been sleeping in the ice cave. "Yeah, is fine, don't worry. By the way, is there any movement in Mion's stomach? When is the baby coming out?" "Not yet. She's currently hospitalized at South Side, waiting to give birth." "Is she okay?" The professor was worried that something would happen to Suyu, which would greatly affect his daughter. Chapter 45-32. Upon hearing this, Qin Chu fell slightly silent. "She's in a good mood. Emichim, stay with her. She's already weak when she's about to give birth, and she needs comfort and companionship the most at this time. I believe this will pass slowly. She's a rational child and will pull herself together." "Okay, Dad. I'll take good care of her. Don't worry. After my grandson comes out, I'll go with Yen." "Okay, call me in advance. I'll pick you up." Then, he hurriedly hung up the phone with the professor. When Qin Chu was about to arrive at the hospital, he received a call from Qin Ning. "Brother, where are you? Come quickly." Qin Ning's tone was very urgent. Qin Chu's heart tightened slightly. "I'm on my way. I'll be at the hospital soon." "What's wrong?" "My sister-in-law's water broke. She's about to give birth. I'll be right there." After hanging up the phone, Qin Chu stepped on the gas pedal and sped all the way to the hospital. He changed into sterile clothes and followed the gynecologist into the operating room. At this time, Huamin had already taken the anesthetic prepared before the cesarean section and was a little dizzy. "Honey, I'm here. Don't be afraid." Qin Chu held Huamin's hand tightly. His palms were sweaty. It was obvious that he was even more nervous than Huamin. He had been in the operating room countless times. When he was in the United States, he often performed surgeries with the professor. After returning to China, he often went to the hospital. Even if it was a matter of life and death, Qin Chu had never been so nervous. It seemed that the saying was true, even if he was a godly doctor, when it came to his own family, he would still be nervous and tremble. For years ago, when the twins were born, he was set up by Hua Xiqian in the United States. Not being able to accompany Huamin had always been his biggest regret. Therefore, after having a second child, he made up his mind that this time, no matter what, he had to be by Huamin's side. He had to be with her to give birth to the babies. Fortunately, everything happened in time. "Honey, if anything happens to me..." "Shut up. Don't talk nonsense. It's just a minor surgery. Relax." Hearing Huamin say such ominous words, Qin Chu was also angry. He rarely scolded Huamin so seriously because he couldn't bear to do it. However, the situation now was different. He was really afraid that something unexpected would happen. "Okay, I won't say anything. Then you have to stay with me." I won't leave. I'll stay here. Don't worry. If you're tired, you can take a nap. All right. Hua Min smiled. Qin Chu kissed her tired forehead gently. Then, Hua Mian fell asleep in a daze. The surgery went smoothly. After all, as a doctor, Hua Min paid a lot of attention to her diet and nutrition after she became pregnant. However, Qin Chu was still on tenterhooks. Even when Hua Min's blood pressure rose a little and her heart rate increased a little, he wanted to do it himself. This was probably the largest cesarean section in the history of South Side. The 2 directors of the obstetrics and gynecology department, 4 doctors, and 9 nurses were all present. Even 2 anesthesiologists were present. They were the best in the hospital. Actually, it was just giving birth, however, Hua Min usually took care of everyone. Therefore, they were very popular. Everyone volunteered to perform the surgery for Director Hua. There was even a group of people cheering at the door. Other than the people from the hospital, Ji Xin, Bella, Yang Meirong, Lady Su, the twins, Qin Chu's parents, Tang Chuan, Qin Ning, Gao Ran, Zhu Lingling, Jiang Xiaowei, and Wei Liao were all present. Other than Cici, who was about to give birth, who was forced to rest in the ward, and Rick, who was still on the plane back to China, everyone was present. In the operating room, the moment the baby was carried out, he cried. Qin Chu felt that at that moment, his heart was about to melt. Chapter 45-33. President Qin, congratulations. It's a young master. He weighs 6 pounds and 8 ounces. The chief surgeon carefully placed the baby in Qin Chu's arms. He gently took it and looked at the baby who looked like him. He was so touched that he actually cried. Director, your son is so good-looking. His eyebrows are so thick and his eyes are big. A few chief surgeons whispered into Hua Min's ear. She was still conscious. She wanted to say something, but she was a little tired. She only smiled. Honey, you've worked hard. I'm going to stitch you up now. Hang in there. If you're tired, sleep a little longer. Qin Chu carried the child and whispered into Hua Min's ear. Hua Min nodded slightly and fell asleep again. Then, she saw a patch of grass in front of her. There were white poplars on both sides, like a university campus. The students walked in 2s and 3s, and from time to time, she would hear laughter. Little Sister Mian. Suddenly, an extremely familiar voice sounded in her ear. She turned around and was slightly surprised to see the boy in a light pink short-sleeved shirt. Hua Xiqian. Little Sister Mian, do you have class in the afternoon? I'll take you to a seafood feast. You, aren't you? Hua Min was surprised to see Hua Xiqian again because in Hua Min's mind, he was already dead. He died for her. Otherwise, Hua Min would have died in the explosion. What? Are you afraid that Ning Ziyuan will be jealous? That coward. I don't know what you see in him. I heard that he went to look for prostitutes with the boys in his dorm when he was a freshman. What kind of taste do you have? Did he give up on himself after breaking up with Qin Chu? Hua Min didn't say anything, not because she was angry, it was because this scene was very familiar. When she was in university, Hua Xiqian was already the general manager of the Hua Corporation. He was rich and powerful, and he was trusted by Hua Zhenghai. Therefore, he would go to her school to pick up girls from time to time. Every time he saw her, he would flirt with her. At that time, she thought that Hua Xiqian was just teasing her and embarrassing her. Now that she thought about it, this man might have had other thoughts about her at that time. Seeing that Hua Min was silent, Hua Xiqian walked over and approached her. She was wearing Hua Xiqian's cologne, which was indeed Hua Xiqian's style. Wow, my little sister Mian is so gentle today. Where did your sharp tongue go? As Hua Xiqian approached, Hua Min felt that he was so real. Don't mess around. Hua Min lowered his head, not daring to look into his eyes. She was afraid that she would cry. It's true. Ning Ziyuan is no good. Don't date him anymore. He has no money and no character. If you marry him, your life will be ruined, I know, I won't marry him. Then marry me. You're Dad's daughter, and I'm Dad's son. When the time comes, the family assets will be ours. Don't let the goodies flow into other people's fields. Ha ha ha. Before Huamin could say anything, Hua Xiqian laughed heartily. Young Master Hua, not far away, the school bell's tall and slender figure swayed her slender waist as she walked over. Then, she held on to Hua Xiqian's arm. Young Master Hua, you're so naughty. You're teasing the straight-A student again. Let's go. Let's go, little sister Mian. Ha, call me if you need money. Kiss me, and I'll give you 1,000,000 yuan. Before leaving, Hua Xiqian didn't forget to tease Huamin. If it was before, Huamin would have cursed out loud. But now, seeing Hua Xiqian in such a way, she was actually a little touched. Hua Xiqian, Huamin suddenly shouted at the back of the figure. She suddenly wanted to say something to him. Hua Xiqian turned around, and smiled wickedly. Chapter 45-34. Huamin raised his hand, placed it by his mouth, and shouted at Hua Xiqian, or perhaps in front of the entire school. Hua Xiqian, you look really good in pink. Perhaps he was used to being scolded by Huamin, but he didn't expect Huamin to do something like this. Therefore, at that moment, Hua Xiqian's eyes were filled with shock, surprise, and ecstasy. His smile became even brighter. Then, he turned around and hugged the girl with the hot figure. He even playfully turned his back to Huamin and made a V sign. It was great to see Hua Xiqian again in this way. It was great to be able to exchange a few words with him. Then, the scene changed again. It became winter. It was the season of snowflakes. When Huamin opened his eyes, he realized that he was on a snow-covered street. As for himself, he was wearing a short red down jacket. He was chubby and looked like a koala bear. In the north, girls especially liked to wear fur in winter. Firstly, it looked good. Secondly, it kept them warm. Huamin was the type of person who rejected fur. Therefore, all these years, he had the habit of wearing down jackets. Because of this, Suyu even laughed at him for looking like a silly roe deer. While he was in a daze, Suyu jumped down the wall. Little girl, I patted Huamin's shoulder. Where's my birthday present? When Huamin saw Suyu, he was ecstatic. Before Suyu could say anything, he grabbed Suyu's hand. This was the first time that Suyu saw Huamin being so proactive. He was also dumbfounded. He looked at his hand, then at Huamin. What's going on? Suyu, come with me. Come back with me. Go back where? Suyu was confused again. Come back to the real world with me. Silly girl, did you have a fever? Don't play dumb with me. Hurry up and take it out. Where's my birthday present? Huamin was confused. Birthday present? Yeah, today's my birthday. I asked you for a red packet on WeChat this morning, but you ignored me. But I still believe that you didn't come empty-handed. Hurry up and take it out. Suyu urged her for a birthday present. Huamin looked around. They were outside the walls of Suyu's private mansion. She suddenly remembered what happened a few years ago, on Su's birthday. He remembered that Zhao Qingya's younger sister, Zhao Xia, committed suicide by jumping off a building in her private mansion to frame Suyu. Because of this, Suyu was sued and almost charged with murder. Huamin didn't care about her image and proved that Suyu wasn't there. However, it made Qin Chu jealous. How long had it been? Huamin never expected this. Are you stupid? Suyu lowered her head and leaned close to Huamin's face. Her white Versace long sleeve was clearly visible. Suyu. Happy birthday. Huamin closed her eyes and kissed Suyu on the left side of her forehead at lightning speed. Suyu was instantly petrified. Huamin knew that Suyu had always known how he felt about her. However, she was helpless. Because she had someone she loved, she couldn't give Suyu a single cent. However, Suyu didn't give up just because she didn't respond. Instead, he stayed by her side to protect her. All these years, the only person Huamin owed was Suyu. Therefore, today, she didn't know if it was a dream or something, but she actually saw Suyu again. Thus, she made a bold move. Suyu was really dumbfounded. Did Huamin just kiss him? He was stunned. Then, he reached out and touched his face. You. Suyu wanted to say something, but he realized that he was so excited that he couldn't speak. Do you like this gift? Huamin asked him. Chapter 45-35. Mian. Suyu, I just gave birth to a baby, Qingguogua, baby. Suyu was dumbfounded again. Yes, this is my third child after Pudding and Little Bean. Master Lord Su named him Qin Yuyao. Mian, what are you talking about? You're not even pregnant, how can you have a child? Suyu looked at her in amusement. Huamin didn't explain. They're having a party inside. Tang Chuan and the others are all there. Do you want to go in and have a drink? Suyu smiled. I'm not going. Don't drink too much. It's not good for your health. When did you start caring about me? Aren't you afraid that Qin Chu will be jealous? Huamin put his hands into the pockets of his down jacket. Suyu, Qin Chu, and I miss you very much. We all miss you very much. You're talking nonsense again. Dr. Hua, I wonder if you're possessed by a ghost today. I should put a talisman on your forehead. Heavenly spirits, earthly spirits. Haha. Suyu was naughty again. Huamin was already crying. Oh, why are you crying? I'm just teasing you. You're not possessed by a ghost, huh? Don't be afraid. Suyu panicked when he saw her crying. Suyu. I really miss you. Suyu's body trembled. He opened his mouth and was about to speak. His figure became more and more blurry. Suyu. Suyu. Huamin called Suyu's name and woke up again. Then, she saw the familiar ceiling. This was the VIP ward of Southside Recuperation Center. Qin Chu hurried over and held her hand. Mian, I'm here. Honey. Huamin was just about to say that she dreamed of Suyu, but when she saw Qin Chu's haggard appearance, she couldn't bear to say it. Hence, she changed it to, Hubby, where's the child? The kids went to take a shower. I'll bring them back later. Why don't you go with them? You might get carried away. Qin Chu smiled faintly. No, Mom and Dad went with them. How are you? Are you tired? Does your wound hurt? Huamin shook his head. Hubby, is he cute? Yes, he looks like me. He's very handsome. Huamin smiled. Shameless. But I think his personality is very similar to yours. You can tell at such a young age. Don't lie to me. Huamin obviously didn't believe her. It's true. He doesn't like to cry. He only cried a few times when he first came out. After that, he's been very obedient. His eyes are very calm. I think his personality will be more like yours in the future. Where's my mom and Jixin? They went to the swimming pool, to accompany the baby. Okay, I'm a forgotten existence. Huamin was full of jealousy. Don't talk nonsense. You still have Hubby, where are Pudding and Little Bean? They're with Boyuan and Yunchu. Xiao Wei and Lingling took them out to eat. Everyone has been waiting for you. They didn't eat much. It's okay for the adults, but the kids are exhausted. Okay. Auntie Sue just came and brought this for the kids. Qin Chu picked up a small box and placed it beside Huamin's hand. Inside was a longevity lock. It was obviously handmade. It wasn't exquisite, but it looked heartwarming. I heard that Auntie Sue knitted it herself. Thank you for your hard work, Auntie, Huamin said. Qin Chu hesitated for a moment and continued, just now, Imperial Star's lawyer came with Su Yu's gift for the kids. Hearing Su Yu's name, Hua Min's heart sank again. Chapter 45-36. Hua Min was extremely grateful that Su Yu had left hundreds of millions of yuan in trust funds for the 3 children. Although he knew that the Qin family was a top financial group and did not lack money, Su Yu still acted like an elder and thought of a way out for the children. Qin Shu handed over a black brocade box inlaid with rich gold. It was square, only a little bigger than the jewelry box that held the rings. Hua Min held it in her hand and hesitated. She did not dare to open anything related to Su Yu. She had just met him in her dream and even talked to him. Now that she had woken up from her dream, it felt like a lifetime had passed. Hua Min felt like she had met Su Yu in her previous life, or a long time ago. You just gave birth and your body is still weak. Why don't you wait a few days? Qin Shu saw that Hua Min was hesitating and did not dare to open the box. He seemed to have guessed what was on her mind, so he persuaded her in a low voice. It's okay. I want to see what Tycoon Su gave my son. Hua Min forced a smile and slowly opened the brocade box. Then, tears welled up in her eyes again. There was no gold, silver, or jewelry inside, nor were there any diamonds or jade, nor were there any land deeds or shares. It was not something valuable, or rather, something that could not be measured by money. It was just an ordinary bullet shell. However, it was plated with a layer of black gold by Su Yu, which made it even more mysterious. Giving a bullet shell to a boy obviously meant that he hoped that he would grow up to be a tough guy. Originally, this was nothing. It was just Su Yu's hope and good wishes for the child. However, Hua Min knew what Su Yu meant. A long time ago, Su Yu had also given her a bullet shell like this. Although the color was different, it had a deep meaning. Su Yu had said that she could take it and look for him anytime. He would do his best to fulfill one of her wishes. At that time, Hua Min had even teased him, asking if he was Aladdin's magic lamp. After Hua Min became pregnant with her second child, she had the following conversation with Su Yu. Mian, if the baby is a boy, I'll give him a bullet shell. What? Hua Min looked at Su Yu. Tell him that, as a man, he needs to be upright and dignified. Don't be a sissy. But that's not the main point. The main point is that with this bullet shell, no matter when he finds me, I can fulfill one of his wishes. Here we go again. Are you a bullet shell expert? Why are you giving bullet casings to everyone? Hua Mian laughed. Su Yu, on the other hand, had a serious expression on his face. I'm only this generous to you and your son. Then, Hua Min stopped smiling and fell silent. Yes, she knew in her heart that Su Yu was only good to her and her child. Now that she held the bullet shell in her hand, Hua Min felt that it was heavy. Even if the child grew up and held the bullet shell, he would never be able to find Su Yu again. Right now, Su Yu could no longer fulfill this kid's wishes because he was already asleep. Mian, you can't cry during your confinement. It's bad for your eyes. Qin Shu quickly stood up and wiped away Hua Min's tears. Honey, I just saw Su Yu in my dream. Hua Min smiled with tears in her eyes. Is he doing well? There was no jealousy on Qin Shu's face, nor did he feel awkward. Instead, he asked very naturally. Emicham, he's doing very well. He's still the same, Emicham, that's good. I believe that Su Yu's character and kindness over the years will definitely be rewarded. What we need to do now is quietly wait for him to come back, okay? Qin Shu coaxed Hua Min like he was coaxing a child. Chapter 45-37. Will he come back? Hua Min asked Qin Shu with uncertainty. I think so. I believe in Su Yu's character. Qin Shu wasn't a Buddhist, but he believed in karma. If one did too many bad things, they would be punished. If one did too many good things, they would also be rewarded. Although Su Yu was a spoiled brat who could do whatever he wanted, he had never done anything outrageous. Especially after meeting Hua Min, he became extremely kind. Chin Chu felt that God wouldn't treat a kind person harshly. Of course, this was just his personal opinion. After chatting with Chin Chu for a while, 2 nurses came in with dinner, giggling. "Director, it's time for dinner." "Mr. Director, you look great today." Many people look haggard at night after surgery. As soon as the 2 nurses entered, the ward became much livelier. Hua Min smiled slightly. "It's not my first child, I'm not that delicate." "Director, this is dinner specially prepared by the chef in the cafeteria. There's blackfish tofu soup for nourishing the body, 2 pieces of tax refund cake, red date millet porridge, stir-fried vegetables, and a dessert, blueberry cheesecake. No need for special treatment. Thank you for your hard work." "It's not hard at all. Director, it's a joyous occasion to have a baby." Speaking of which, the young master is so handsome." When he was swimming, many people were watching. "Honey, help me up. The incision isn't good. Lie down and don't move. I'll raise the bed for you and feed you." Seeing that the couple was about to show off their love again, the nurse left. Chin Chu carefully raised the bed, put the pillow behind her, and fed her. Halfway through the meal, everyone returned in a grandiose manner. Hugging her newborn son, Mian, "How do you feel? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere?" Mama Chin asked. "Mom, I'm fine." "Mian, does it hurt?" Yang Meirong walked up and held her daughter's hand. "Mom, it doesn't hurt anymore. The anesthetic might still be in effect. Anyway, I'm fine. Don't worry." "Sister-in-law, look at your son, he's so young, but he already knows how to flirt with girls. He just went for a swim and kept giggling at the pretty nurse." After speaking, Qin Ning carried the child and handed it over. Qin Chu took the baby and showed it to Hua Min. When he was born, Hua Min was still dizzy, so he didn't take a good look at the little guy. Now, he could finally take a good look. Sure enough, his eyebrows were exactly the same as Qin Chu's. He couldn't help but sigh at the strength of genes. "Mian, look, this kid looks like Chu, doesn't she?" Mr. Qin was obviously very happy. Although he had always felt that having a granddaughter was already very good and perfect. But now that she had given birth to a second child, the Qin family was still in a state of jubilation. Even Qin Ning's father was so happy that he booked a plane ticket to fly back from America to see his grandson. Everyone stayed for a while. Seeing that Hua Min was a little tired, they left one after another. Pudding and Little Bean were brought back to South Hill Manor by their grandparents. The newborn and Hua Min stayed at the hospital. At around 7 p.m., Lady Sue arrived alone. She only brought a bodyguard with her and was very low-key. She wore a coffee-colored wool coat and a classic Hepburn hat, looking very ladylike. In her hand was a medium-sized thermos flask. Qin Chu quickly stood up. "Mrs. Sue." Chapter 45-38. "I'm here to see Mian." "Auntie." Hua Min was about to get up. However, Lady Sue stopped him. "Silly boy, lie down. Don't move around, don't hurt yourself." Hua Min smiled and leaned against the headboard quietly. "I made some tonics for you at home. Mr. Sue and Lord Sue were going to come, but they heard that you're still in confinement. It's not good for men to come. Mr. Sue is very superstitious, so he said he'd leave for a while and come see you when you're discharged. They're all elders, don't treat me like this. When I'm out of confinement, I'll take the child to see them." Hua Min was a bit flattered. It seemed like she would never be able to repay the Sue family's kindness in this lifetime. "What are you talking about? We're family. Here, eat the bird's nest while it's hot." Lady Sue took out the tonics and watched Hua Min eat while chatting with her calmly. The two of them never talked about Suyu. Suyu seemed to have become a taboo in the Sue family. Once it was mentioned, everyone in the Sue family would be heartbroken. After Lady Sue left, Qin Chu went downstairs to see her off. Jiang Xiaowei and Zhu Lingling came in to see Huamin. Director Hua. You've worked hard today. Zhu Lingling touched Huamin's head and joked with her. You two have to hurry up. I'm having my second child. You two have to give birth too. We'll never be able to catch up to you in this lifetime. Our genes are too good. Jiang Xiaowei laughed. Have you given the child a nickname? I heard it's called Qin Guogua. Zhu Lingling laughed. Huamin was speechless. Ms. Zhu Lingling, who told you that? Your daughter is my daughter-in-law. Zhu Lingling said matter-of-factly. So my little bean has become a professional hater. Huamin said helplessly. Qin Guogua is a good name. It's easy to raise. Zhu Lingling continued to tease. Then why don't you call Gao Buiyuan Ergo or Tai Dan? That would make him easier to raise. Huamin rolled his eyes. Jiang Xiaowei laughed out loud as she watched the two women fight. All right, I won't joke around with you all. I have a matter that I would like to ask your opinions on. After joking around, Huamin stopped smiling and put on a serious face. What's the matter? Why are you so serious? Jiang Xiaowei moved a small stool and sat beside Huamin's bed. Zhu Lingling put her arms around Jiang Xiaowei's neck and leaned on her shoulder. The three women were indeed best friends and could talk about anything. Huamin dared to talk to them about things that he didn't want to talk to Qin Chu about. I want to give my son to the Su family for adoption. Huamin's words were like a sudden clap of thunder. Zhu Lingling and Jiang Xiaowei were both shocked. Mian, are you crazy? You carried him for 10 months and gave birth to him. He's not a surrogate. You want to give your child to someone else? Zhu Lingling was agitated. Qin Chu won't agree, right? Jiang Xiaowei also thought it was inappropriate. I'll persuade him. My husband listens to me, Huamin lowered her head and said in a low voice. Woman, you're too impulsive. I know you feel guilty about the Su family, but you can't joke about this, Zhu Lingling asked her. I'm not joking. I've been thinking about this for days. No. I don't agree. It's not easy for you to give birth to this child. You're 30 years old and don't even have a son. Now that you finally have one, you have to give it away. No. Zhu Lingling waved her hand, feeling sorry for Huamin. Jiang Xiaowei glanced at Huamin and tried to persuade her. I think Lord Su won't agree to this either. Mrs. Su suggested that Su Yu have a child with Han Yueyao, but he refused. What will the Su family think if you give the child to him? They're not the type to take advantage of others. Chapter 45-39. Upon hearing Jiang Xiaowei's words, Huamin fell silent. Mian, I think, after coming back from the dream, you become a bit impulsive. You don't care about the consequences of your actions. Right. Dr. Zhang's comments are right. Zhu Lingling joined Jiang Xiaowei in criticizing Huamin. Since they were best friends, they didn't hide anything from each other. That's because I lost Su Yu forever, Huamin bit his lip and said with a trembling voice. We're all sad about what happened to Su Yu. Mian, you have to know that you're not the only one who's sad. Wei Liao grew up with Lord Su. After he came back, he looked fine on the surface and even took over many of Imperial Star's affairs, but he hasn't been able to eat for days. He's only been drinking coffee every day and lost more than 10 pounds in a week. He's a man, so he won't cry out loud like us. Jiang Xiaowei said emotionally. Huamin didn't say anything, but he heard everything. And Tang Chuan, you probably don't know, but after he came back, he's been drinking himself into a stupor every day. He doesn't even listen to Qin Ning. That day, he got into a fight with someone at a nightclub and was almost stabbed. Everyone knows about it now, and it was even photographed by tabloids and published on the entertainment section. Jiang Xiaowei looked at Huamin and said word by word. Gao Ran doesn't have a deep relationship with Lord Su, but he knows that Lord Su saved everyone's lives this time. So, the atmosphere in our house is very tense. Zhu Lingling explained. Jiang Xiaowei reached out and tucked Huamin in. And Pudding and Little Bean. They cried and threw tantrums. On the surface, it's all over, but Yunshu said that Pudding hasn't gone to bed until 2 a.m. these days. She said she can't sleep because she misses handsome Su. Upon hearing this, Huamin burst into tears again. Mian, you have to know that no one has forgotten about Suyu. Everyone is as sad as you are, but we can't give up on ourselves. Suyu sacrificed himself for the stable life we have now, so we have to cherish it even more. I believe that he wants everyone to be happy and not be sad every day. I know you're a Disney fan, so you must have seen the popular animation, Dream Quest. There's a line in it that I remember very well, and I'll give it to you now. The true death is when no one in the world remembers you. Before the memory of love disappears, please let us always remember Suyu. Death is not the end of life, forgetting is. We won't forget him, right? Huamin nodded with tears in his eyes. I'll never forget him for the rest of my life. Never. Huamin was already crying. Zhu Lingling was also touched by Jiang Xiaowei's words. However, Qin Chu soon returned, and the two of them didn't continue talking. Before she left, Jiang Xiaowei reminded Huamin, think about what happened just now. I hope that before you make a decision, you'll think about Qin Chu, your in-laws, and Pudding and Little Bean. Thank you, Xiaowei. Huamin was smart, so how could he not know what Jiang Xiaowei meant? Huamian's decision to give the child to the Su family was indeed impulsive. He thought that after Jiang Xiaowei left, Huamin would finally have some peace. However, he didn't expect that the last visitor would come. Sister Mian, I'm late. I hope I didn't disturb you. Han Yueyao stood at the door with a bouquet of lilies in her hands. Chapter 45-40. No. Yao Yao, come in. Huamin waved his hand and called Han Yueyao in. After talking with Jiang Xiaowei and the others, he was indeed tired. But seeing Han Yueyao, Huamin thought of many things. In fact, many things between Su Yu and Han Yueyao happened in the dream and didn't happen in the real world. But whether it was in the dream or in reality, Han Yueyao liked Su Yu. This was something everyone knew. Maybe only Su Yu didn't know. Or maybe Su Yu knew but never mentioned it. Sister Mian, congratulations on giving birth to a cute baby. I don't know what you need, so I bought 2 sets of new clothes when I passed by a maternity and baby store. Please don't mind. Han Yueyao handed him 2 newborn gift boxes. Huamin didn't refuse and let Qin Chu take them. Then he thanked her, thank you, Yao Yao. Sister Mian, take good care of yourself. Don't think too much. I heard from Auntie Su that you're not in a good mental state recently. But you have to think about your health. A healthy body is the foundation of a revolution. I heard you're going back to work after your confinement. Yes, I'm going back to South Side to resume my old job. Huamin smiled slightly. I believe it's a benefit for many patients. After all, you're a genius doctor with medical ethics, Han Yueyao praised. But no matter how good I am and how many people I can save, I can't save Su Yu. After Huamin said that, Han Yueyao's eyes became sad. Yao Yao, do you hate me? Why do you ask, Sister Mian? All the women who like Su Yu hate me. Jian Tong, Zhao Qingya, and Zheng Rou. In short, they think Su Yu is blind to like me. Hee, after all, Su Yu has been so good to me, but I've never reciprocated. Do you want me to tell you the truth? Sister Mian. Han Yueyao looked at Huamin and enunciated each word. Okay, tell me. At this point, I won't blame you for anything you say, Huamin said calmly. Han Yueyao shook her head. The truth is, I don't hate you at all. In fact, I like you very much. Huamian was slightly surprised, but she didn't see any hypocrisy in Han Yueao's eyes. She was afraid that Han Yueao meant what she said. Before Huamin could speak, Han Yueao said, "When I heard about Suyu, I thought you must be an unparalleled beauty. Then I found that Suyu didn't like your looks, he liked your personality, your inner qualities, and your character. The more time I spend with you, the more I understand your rare and precious qualities. So, I think Suyu isn't blind. He and President Qin both have the best taste in you in the world. I think it's his greatest pride to fall in love with someone as outstanding as you." Yao Yao. Huamin was surprised by Han Yueao's words. "Sister Mian, the truth is, I really want to give birth to a child for Suyu. I want to leave an heir for him. It's not that I'm noble, I'm selfish. I want to maintain a complicated relationship with Suyu." But Master Lord Su's words reminded me. Even if I give birth to 10 children for Suyu, so what if we're inextricably linked? He'll never fall in love with me, whether it's in a dream or in the real world, whether he's asleep or awake. Huamin suddenly found Han Yueao was very wise, emotional, and even magnanimous. "Sister Mian, I've made up my mind. I'll stay at Imperial Star and continue to be a star. I'll wait and see when Suyu will come back. Let me grow old while waiting, okay?" Yao Yao. You. Huamin wanted to say something but stopped on second thought. Han Yueao suddenly changed the topic. "Sister Mian, I heard President Qin still owes you a grand wedding. Now that you've given birth to the baby and your figure has recovered, when are you getting married?" Huamin was surprised by Han Yueao's question and didn't know how to answer. She glanced at Qin Chu, who wasn't far away. Chapter 45-41. Qin Chu answered for Huamin, "Our wedding is cancelled." "Huh? Cancelled?" Han Yueao was surprised. "Yeah. We've been together since we were young. After all these years, we've relied on each other and experienced so much together. We've become an inseparable part of each other's lives. So, it doesn't matter to us whether we have a wedding or not." Mr. Qin cleverly avoided the topic of the wedding. Qin Chu knew it wasn't the best time to have a wedding. Huamin was still grieving over Suyu's coma. What would the Su family think if they had a big wedding at this time? What would their friends think? Sure enough, Huamin was satisfied with Qin Chu's answer. She glanced at Qin Chu gratefully and didn't speak. President Qin is right. I really envy childhood sweethearts like you. Okay, Sister Mian, rest early. I'll come to see you another day. Han Yueao sat for a while and then stood up to leave. After Han Yueao left, Qin Chu returned to the ward and sat down on the bed. Are you hungry? Do you want me to cook something for you? Qin Chu looked at Huamin tenderly. Huamin didn't speak. She reached out her hands and hugged Qin Chu's neck tightly. Honey, thank you. Silly girl, you don't have to thank me. You're fine. That's more important than anything else. Qin Chu knew Huamin was thanking him for what he did. He gently patted her back to comfort her. 1 month later, Huamin's confinement was also Qin Yuyao's 1-month-old birthday. South Hill Manor hadn't been so lively in a long time. With lanterns and streamers everywhere, it was even livelier than during the New Year. Everyone came to congratulate them, including the Su family. Lord Su was in a good mood and wouldn't let go of the baby. Mr. Su drank a few more glasses of wine and even sang a Peking opera for everyone. Rick hugged his and Cece's daughter and turned into a daughter slave. Huamin's figure recovered rapidly after a month. She had already slimmed down from 128 pounds to 96 pounds. She wore an elegant yellow dress and a striped jacket, looking calm and elegant. Rick, her name is Little Ajin, right? Huamin looked at the baby in Rick's arms. Yes, just like in the dream. She took Cece's surname and her full name is Nyajin. Rick said. Do you want to be in-laws with us? Huamin laughed. Qin Chu mentioned it to me before, but I rejected him, Rick replied proudly. Hua Min chuckled. Why did you reject us? Little Jean is only a few days away from our Yuyao, and they're of the same social status. I think my daughter's eyes are bigger than your son's. Rick refused. All right, you win. Hua Min laughed until tears rolled down his cheeks. Time could heal all wounds. On such a joyous day, no one mentioned Suyu again. En and Master Wu were also afraid of spoiling the fun, so they didn't attend the 1-month-old banquet. In the afternoon, while everyone was having afternoon tea in the room, Hua Min held a champagne glass and walked to the balcony on the top floor, looking at the scenery in the distance. Mommy, you're thinking about him, aren't you? Hua Min turned around when she heard the voice and saw Pudding dressed up. Why aren't you taking a nap? Hua Min didn't answer her daughter's question. Instead, she looked at her gently. I can't sleep. Mommy, I miss him a lot. What about you? Me too. Hua Mian squeezed out a smile, but there was a hint of bitterness in her smile. Then, Pudding continued in her childish voice, Dream Chaser said that death isn't scary, forgetting is. So we'll always remember him, right? Yes, Hua Min said and downed the champagne in her hand. Mommy, I want to ask you a question on his behalf. Upon hearing this, Hua Mian tilted her head and looked at her daughter in surprise. Then, she heard Pudding ask in a serious tone, all these years. Have you ever loved him? Even a little? In the end, Pudding saw that her mother didn't say anything, but the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. Chapter 45-42. At the Su family's old residence. After the mysterious death of a certain military chief, Old Master Su retired early to recuperate. Although the higher-ups had invited him many times, the old master refused. After losing his beloved grandson, he seemed to have aged a lot overnight. No matter how majestic he used to be, he only wanted to live in seclusion. Dad, Master Wu is here, Lady Su knocked on the door and said softly. Let him in. Master Lord Su put down the teacup in his hand. Master Wu was wearing a green sweatshirt and an expensive bracelet from Su Yu. Overall, Master Wu was much cleaner and tidier than before. Perhaps it was a habit he had developed after coming to Sea City. After Master Wu entered, he nodded slightly at the old master. Sit. Lady Su knew that the old master must have something important to say to Master Wu, so she left. In the study of the Su family's old residence. At first, the old master was just chatting with Master Wu, but then, the two of them almost finished a pot of Longjing tea. Finally, Master Lord Su said, Little Wu, I know you're quite capable. Otherwise, my arrogant grandson wouldn't be willing to kowtow and acknowledge you as his master. No, no. Just think of me as a swindler. Master Wu smiled mischievously. To be honest, you should know why I called you here today. I know. It's about Suyu. Master Wu knew very well. Suyu's matter had become a thorn in the Su family's heart. Suyu's coma had become everyone's injury. Seeing that he had made it so clear, Lord Su nodded. That's right, it's about you. Old master. With all due respect, I really can't save Suyu. Maybe there's such an expert in this world, but my ability is limited. Even if you exhaust me to death, I can't find an exit to get Suyu out. I'm really sorry. Before the old master could speak, Master Wu explained everything. Suyu had been in a coma for more than a year. Hua Min's second child could already walk. For more than a year, everyone went to see Suyu almost every week, as if he was really asleep. Hua Min insisted on going every week. He would talk to Suyu alone for a while. Sometimes she would bring the twins, and sometimes she would carry her second child. And Master Wu had been living in Suyu's private villa and couldn't bear to leave, even though they knew that Suyu wouldn't wake up. In the past year or so, almost everyone had asked Master Wu this question. This included Hua Min. She had even said that she wanted to accompany Su Yu in his dreams. But Master Wu was really helpless. When Su Yu entered the dream for the second time, Master Wu had already warned him seriously and told him all the consequences. However, Su Yu still did it without any regrets. He knew what the consequences would be, but he still did it. This was his own choice. It was understandable that everyone wanted to save him. However, Master Wu really couldn't do it, so he felt that it was better to talk things out when the old master wanted to see him alone. Don't give everyone hope, Wu, you might have misunderstood. I didn't ask you to come here today to save you. I know you don't have the ability, so I won't make things difficult for you. Old master, then you are. Master Wu was a little surprised as he looked at the white-haired old man. I actually want to ask you a question, go ahead. If Yu dies in the real world, then, will his soul leave the dream? Master Lord Su asked word by word with a heavy expression. Master Wu was shocked when he heard this. Old master, what do you mean? Chapter 45-43. Master Lord Su glanced at Master Wu. Answer my question first. Old master, to be honest, I don't know if it will happen. But the situation is like this. Su Yu isn't dead yet, he's just unconscious. You can think of it as his body is still there, but his soul is imprisoned in the nightmare world. That place is extremely desolate, and Su Yu is alone there. He won't age or die there. He can't leave. And if Su Yu's body is gone, or if he's dead, then he will be completely dead in the dream. As for the person who died in the nightmare, I don't know where his soul went. Of course, one thing is for sure. After he dies, his soul shouldn't belong to the dream world anymore, so what you're saying is, if we don't do anything and let you stay unconscious like this, he might be trapped forever. We're guarding a soulless body, and we might never see hope. But if he dies, there might be a different ending. Old master, you have to think twice. I know what you want to do, but the problem now is Su Yu isn't dead, and his body is still there. Maybe when the time comes, or if he meets an expert, he might be able to be saved, but he might never wake up and be in a vegetative state forever, the old man interrupted. Master Wu said hurriedly, but if he really dies, then he'll disappear forever. His body won't be there, and his soul won't be there either. You and Su Yu will have nothing to do with each other anymore. Whether he reincarnates or transmigrates to his previous life. In short, Su Yu will completely disappear from this world. I know, the old man lowered his head and said solemnly. Old master, you're not thinking of. Master Wu seemed to have guessed what the old man was thinking. That's what I think. I don't want to see you live like a piece of trash for the rest of his life. I'd rather start a new life for him. Even if he has nothing to do with me from now on and is no longer a member of the Su family. I don't want him to be alone in that barren place for the rest of his life. Compared to death, endless loneliness is scarier, isn't it? The old man's words shocked Master Wu so much that he couldn't say a word. As expected of an elder, as expected of a great figure. He had led soldiers for a lifetime, and his bones were firm and unyielding. Master Wu understood that in this world, the person who doted on Su Yu the most was probably the old master. He loved Su Yu more than anyone else, but it was because of this love that he could not watch his grandson become a vegetable for the rest of his life. Therefore, he was willing to part with his treasures. Then, do Yu's parents agree? After a while, Master Wu asked this question. I will discuss this matter with them. I called you here today to ask about the final result. If you put it that way, it's true. Although the method is a little cruel, it's undeniable that this is a method that isn't really a method. Perhaps, it's really better than him being in a vegetative state for the rest of his life. The night after Master Wu left, Master Lord Su called everyone over for a meeting. Everyone related to Su Yu was present. Hua Min, Qin Chu, Tang Chuan, Qin Ning, Wei Liao, Jiang Xiaowei, Gao Ran, and Zhu Lingling. Other than Cici and the children, who were brought to the United States by Rick. Everyone else was here. Master Lord Su, everyone is here. You can announce it now. Qin Chu knew that Lord Su had something important to announce. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gathered so many people. The old man looked around and sighed slightly. I plan to euthanize you. His words shocked the entire crowd. Chapter 45-44. Master Lord Su, why? Hua Min was almost crying. Everyone was thinking about how to save Su Yu, but Master Lord Su wanted to euthanize him. Was he still his biological grandfather? Hua Min's question was indeed what everyone wanted to ask. Mian, don't be rash. Listen to Lord Su first. Qin Chu was the most rational. Although Lord Su was old, he wasn't muddle-headed at all. He had been high and mighty his entire life. What big decision had he not made? Why would he harm his grandson for no reason? Therefore, when everyone fell silent again, Lord Su repeated what he had said to Master Wu today. After hearing this, everyone fell silent again. Jiang Shaowei calmed down first and asked, Master Lord Su, can you really be so heartless? Master Lord Su looked at everyone and said slowly, when I think about you being alone in that desolate place, I wish I was a heartless grandfather. So, today's decision wasn't rash. It's been a year. Everyone wants him to wake up, but we all know that he won't wake up. If this continues, year after year. Even if I die and you guys get old, you might not see the day you wakes up. When I think about him being alone in that place, my heart hurts. There's no grandfather in this world who doesn't love his grandson. I feel 100 times worse than you guys when I make this decision, but I have to make a prompt decision. After Lord Su finished speaking, no one said anything because they didn't know what to say. Hua Min was already sobbing softly on Qin Chu's body. After giving birth to her second child, Hua Min had been suffering from postpartum depression for a long time. Fortunately, Qin Chu accompanied her day and night. Only then did she slowly walk out of the shadows. However, she still didn't dare to mention Su Yu's name. This became her biggest weakness. Now that Lord Su wanted to euthanize Su Yu, it was equivalent to killing Su Yu. Although Su Yu hadn't woken up yet, his physical body was still there. At the very least, it gave everyone something to think about. However, if the patient was euthanized, the corpse would be cremated according to the rules of the family of a high-ranking official. Then, he was buried in the cemetery in the northern suburbs. At that time, Su Yu would really not be able to come back. Or, he would completely disappear from this world. Seeing that no one was speaking, he felt extremely sad. Mr. Su took off his glasses and wiped away his tears. As Yu's father, I have to say a few words. I understand that everyone is good to him and can't bear to part with him. Grandpa loves his grandson, and you all know that. Although my father's decision is cruel, logically speaking, it might be Yu's last chance. So, I hope that everyone can agree and give us some strength so that we can make this decision and give you his final release. After hearing this, Lady Su fainted on the ground from crying. Hua Min quickly helped Lady Su up and sent her to her room to rest like the nanny. After returning from the Su family, Hua Min's heart was extremely heavy. He didn't say a word along the way and just kept looking out of the car window. Mian, if you don't want to. I'll talk to Lord Su later. Qin Chu knew that Hua Min didn't want Su Yu to be euthanized. Don't. Since Lord Su has already made his decision, we shouldn't interfere. After all, this is the best way for Su Yu. Hua Min tried hard to hold back his tears, but his heart was already filled with devastation. Chapter 45-45. The day Su Yu was euthanized was the beginning of May. Spring was already blooming in Sea City in the north, inside Su Yu's private mansion. Everyone was wearing black formal attire to send him off for the last time. Looking at Su Yu, who was still unconscious on the bed, Hua Min had mixed feelings. Why don't I do it? Seeing that Hua Min's heart softened and she couldn't do it, Qin Chu wanted to snatch the needle from her hand. Unexpectedly, Huamin dodged. The twins were taken out by Qin Chu's parents to play and avoided this scene. Huamin held a syringe in her hand, her fingers trembling. Master Wu couldn't bear it and turned his head away, not daring to look. Mian, do it. Seeing that Huamin was unwilling to do anything, Lord Su shouted sternly. As expected of someone from the military, he was still bold. It was a military order. Huamin bit her lip. Then, she walked over and lifted Su Yu's arm. She slowly injected the life-or-death drug into Su Yu's blood vessels. Then, everyone saw that Huamin's face was covered in tears. Perhaps no one knew how she felt at this moment. She thought back to many years ago, when she first met Su Yu. Su Yu had strained his ligaments in a car accident and was recuperating at South Side like a boss. At that time, so many young and beautiful nurses were giving Su Yu injections, but they were all chased out by Su Yu. There was even a nurse whose head was smashed by Su Yu with an ashtray. The situation was critical. As a nurse, Huamin had just gone to South Side. She was fearless and was used as a gun. She was sent directly to Su Yu's ward. With her courage and skills, she finally convinced Su Yu. As a result, Su Yu started to have feelings of ignorance towards her. Before meeting Huamin, Su Yu had many women. After meeting Huamin, Su Yu only liked Huamin. All of this originated from the injection he received in the hospital back then. Now, Huamin gave Su Yu the final injection, hoping to end his endless loneliness. Everyone hoped that this would allow Su Yu to escape from the nightmare. After the needle was inserted, she watched as Su Yu's lips gradually turned purple. Huamin felt his vision darken. Then, he lost consciousness. When Huamin woke up again, Su Yu's funeral had already ended. He was buried in the cemetery in the northern suburbs, a place with great scenery. For a long time, Huamin didn't dare to go. He didn't dare to face the fact that Su Yu was dead. It was about 18 months before Qin Guogua could speak. When Qin Guogua learned to speak, Huamin taught him to speak. Only then did she take the little guy to pay respects to Su Yu. Han Yueao also went to Su Yu's funeral. She wore a long black dress. That day, she dressed up beautifully. She had a smile on her face the entire time. She didn't cry. She told herself not to cry. She said that Su Yu ended his loneliness and escaped from the dream that trapped him. His soul was freed. This was a good thing, an excellent thing. After Su Yu died, the Su family moved. Perhaps they didn't dare to stay, or perhaps they were afraid that everyone would be worried. The Su family all moved to a small town in the south and lived a true rural life. Huamin and Qin Chu brought the 3 children to visit them every year. An entered Imperial Star and became the bodyguard of Han Yueao, who was extremely popular, to ensure her safety. Master Wu went to travel the world, and no one knew his whereabouts anymore. In the dream worldling in the desert, so you didn't know how much time had passed. He even felt like these days were endless. Until one day, he suddenly felt his body become lighter. Then, he kept ascending, and finally left this place. When he opened his eyes and woke up again, he saw the familiar ceiling. Chapter 45-46. Son, you're awake. You almost scared Mommy to death. The first thing Su Yu saw was that the woman leaning over his bed was actually, Mom, why, are you here? Su Yu had been used to being alone in the nightmare world for a long time. He thought that he would always be alone. He didn't expect to see his mother when he opened his eyes. What kind of ecstasy was this? Are you stupid? Of course, I heard that you were in a car accident, so I immediately rushed over. Fortunately, you're fine, it's just a ligament strain. Car accident? Ligament strain? Su Yu was obviously completely dumbfounded. What was going on? His mother kept chattering, but Su Yu didn't have the patience to listen. He just reached out and wrapped his arms tightly around his mother's neck. Mom. I love you, so much. Faced with her son's sudden confession, Lady Su was slightly stunned. Then, she smiled with tears in her eyes and said with relief. You brat, you almost scared me to death. Now that you've died once, you know how precious life is. Let's see if you can still do it in the future. Do you want to play some Wang Ming race? Suyu only smiled and didn't say anything. I didn't dare to tell your grandfather and father about this. Otherwise, they would definitely scold you. Thank you, Mom. Hee hee. You dote on me the most. Alright, you just woke up. Rest well first. I'll go talk to your doctor about your situation, then I'll go home and make you something to eat. What do you want to eat? Sauerkraut dumplings, Suyu said with a cheeky smile. You're greedy. Just you wait. Then, Lady Su walked out of the ward gracefully. Suyu took a deep breath. What was going on? Wasn't he trapped in the nightmare world? Was he dreaming? That wasn't right. Master Wu said that in the nightmare world, one wouldn't age, die, be hungry, or thirsty. One wouldn't feel anything, just like a living dead. Naturally, he wouldn't be dreaming, so, what was going on? Before he could figure it out, the door was pushed open again. President Su. I heard about what happened to you as soon as I got off the plane. You scared me to death. Are you okay? Where are you hurt? Let me take a look. Just listening to the voice made one's scalp tingle. This coquettish voice was extremely recognizable. Suyu turned his head. It was indeed Zhao Qingya. She was wearing a pair of brown sunglasses and holding a Hermes platinum bag. She walked over with her hips swaying. Don't touch me. Seeing her reach out to touch his hand, Suyu hurriedly scolded her. President Su, what's wrong with you? Are you blaming me for being late? This is the earliest flight. Really, I swear I rushed over as soon as I heard about your accident. Zhao Qingya said, sobbing. Suyu was a little confused. Then, he seemed to have understood something. Zhao Qingya was still alive? And a celebrity at that? He had a ligament strain, car accident. Could it be that he had transmigrated? He had transmigrated to many years ago, when he first met Huamin. At that thought, Suyu's heart started to race. If it was really this year, he should be able to see Huamin soon. At that thought, Suyu couldn't wait to ask Zhao Qingya, what year is it now? 2016, Zhao Qingya was confused. Is the most advanced phone on the market 6S? Suyu asked excitedly. Zhao Qingya nodded in a daze. Is this South Side Hospital? President Su. What's wrong? Zhao Qingya was scared out of her wits, thinking that Suyu was possessed. Answer me, is this South Side Hospital? Suyu asked anxiously. Chapter 45-47. Zhao Qingya quickly replied, this is South Side Hospital. President Su, please calm down. Looks like I'm really. Suyu couldn't suppress his ecstasy. Why did Master Wu say that he would be trapped in a nightmare forever? Wasn't he back now? Could it be that his character was off the charts? President Su, go out first. I want to be alone for a while. President Su, get out. Yes. Seeing President Su's firm attitude, Zhao Qingya didn't dare to continue acting coquettishly. After all, she knew that this young master had a bad temper. After Zhao Qingya wobbled out, Suyu wanted to get up and look for Huamin. However, his ligament was injured and he couldn't move his legs freely. At this moment, he smartly raised his hand. He pressed the emergency bell beside the bed. After 3 beeps, the phone rang. A young nurse immediately rushed into the ward. Young Master Su, what can I do for you? Where's Huamin? Tell her to come and see me. Suyu felt his heart race. He never dared to think that he would have the chance to see Huamin again. Therefore, when he realized that he was back, the first thing he did was to look for Huamin. As for Tang Chuan and Old Wei, he wasn't in a hurry. He would slowly look for them. After all, they wouldn't be able to run away. Huamin? The nurse was stunned. Don't you have a nurse named Huamin here? There is one, but she's resting today. Tell her to come and see me immediately, Suyu said excitedly. Young Master Su. Huamin is resting and went home. We don't have the right to ask her to come back. How about, tomorrow, tell your director to come here. Huh? Tell your director to come and see me. Hurry up, cut the crap. 15 minutes later. President Wu, who had just finished a meeting, was called to the ward by Suyu. Then, he made only one request. I want to see Huamin immediately, no matter what method you use. President Wu didn't know what relationship Suyu had with this nurse named Huamin. But seeing how anxious and determined the crown prince was, he didn't dare to offend him. Therefore, he immediately called Huamin personally. Huamin was eating at home. Yang Meirong made scallion pancakes and tomato soup. Huamin was only halfway through her meal when she received a call from the director asking her to return to the hospital. Huamin reluctantly got up, not forgetting to take a biscuit in his hand before he left. Aren't you resting? Why do you still want to go? Mother asked. The director said that there's an emergency at the hospital. It's okay, Mom, you guys eat first. Don't wait for me to come back, I'll heat it up myself. Sis, be careful, Jixin reminded her. No problem. Because President Wu repeatedly said that it was an emergency, Huamin took a taxi and said that the hospital would reimburse the taxi fare. Huamin stopped a taxi and went straight to South Side Recuperation Center. When she arrived at South Side, the nurse at the reception desk told her mysteriously, hurry up and go to young Master Su's room. Young Master Su? Is he the legendary patient with a bad temper? Huamin was confused and didn't have time to change into her white coat. Today, she wore a white casual jacket. Inside, she wore a simple short-sleeved t-shirt, a pair of light blue jeans, and Converse flats. She was also carrying a bag that was neither too big nor too small. It was Winnie the Pooh and looked like it was worth a few hundred yuan. Huamin pushed the door open and didn't have time to see clearly. She vaguely saw a tall and blurry figure pounce on her and hug her tightly. Chapter 45-48. No one knew how excited Suyu was at this moment. He was like a hungry wolf, pouncing on him because he was afraid that this was all a dream. He was afraid that when he woke up from this dream, all of this would be gone. Then, he would have to go back to that damn desert, huh? What are you doing? Huamin pushed him away forcefully. Then, he looked at Suyu with disdain. Suyu, on the other hand, couldn't express his surprise or excitement. Mian. It's so good to see you. His eyes were red. President Wu coughed awkwardly and said faintly, Huamin, do you know young Master Su? Huamin shook his head in confusion. Suyu said with a cheeky smile, it's okay, Wu, go do your thing. We'll get to know each other soon, this person is shameless. Huamin muttered in a low voice. You guys talk first. President Wu felt that he was a little redundant and took the opportunity to leave. Director, didn't you call me back because it was urgent? Huamin looked at the director, unwilling to give up. Yes, young Master Su wants to see you. Huh? Huamian was confused again. Was this the bullshit reason why she had to spend more than 30 yuan on a taxi and didn't even have time to eat properly? Young Master Su, right? What's the matter? Hearing that this person was looking for him, Huamin rolled his eyes impatiently. Suyu wasn't angry at all. He reached out his hand and said pitifully, Mian, the nurses in your hospital are too bad at acupuncture. They're about to stab me full of holes. I heard that your skills are the best here. From today onwards, can you give me an 4? I'm off today. Huamin looked at him with disdain again. I can pay you overtime. Don't think that you can bribe me with money, Huamin said righteously, 3,000 yuan a day. In the end, Suyu added, RMB. Huamin was stunned for a moment. Then, he glanced at Suyu and said, deal. As expected, there was no one who didn't love money. Huamin felt that there was no need for him to go against money. With Su Yu's words, they all felt more motivated to work. Huamin jogged over with the tray and equipment for the infusion. Then, Su Yu obediently lay on the hospital bed and waited for Huamin to perform acupuncture. This posture was completely like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. "You know me?" Huamin suddenly asked him. Su Yu shook his head. He was determined not to admit it, because Huamin didn't know him yet. He didn't want her to think that he was crazy. "Then why did you call me Mian just now?" Huamin was indeed a meticulous Virgo and noticed something was wrong. "I heard it from the other nurses here. But I don't know you well." "I know." Su Yu smiled. "So, don't call me Mian from now on, okay?" Su Yu continued to smile. "It's the first time I've seen such a strange patient like you. Are you happy to have a fracture?" Huamin glanced at Su Yu's face indifferently as if he was looking at an idiot. "Yes, it's my honor to be hospitalized at South Side. It's even more my honor to have Beauty Hua personally perform acupuncture, hee. Su Yu's mouth was as sweet as honey. "You're good at flirting. Unfortunately, I don't fall for it. Okay, I'm done. Don't move, be careful of the needle rolling." Huamin picked up the tray and was about to leave. "Mian, I told you not to call me Mian." Huamin turned around and glared at her. However, in Su Yu's eyes, her angry face was also very charming. Okay. Huamin. "Is there anything else?" She looked at him warily. "Hello, Huamin, my name is Su Yu. Nice to meet you in the future." Su Yu looked at Huamin and said word by word. Chapter 45-49. You're crazy. Huamian left after saying that out of the blue. If it weren't for the overtime pay of 3,000 yuan, she wouldn't have given this crazy guy an injection. Although 3,000 yuan wasn't a lot, it was enough for Jixin's living expenses for 2 months. Therefore, sometimes, Huamin had no bottom line for money. After Huamin left, Qin Chu lay on the hospital bed and looked at his arm. The needle that Huamin had injected just now made him feel happy. Those who didn't know would think that he was crazy, however, he knew that he wasn't crazy. He had never been more clear-headed than at this moment. This hard-won happiness, even though he knew that he still had no chance of winning after transmigrating back to this time, because Huamin already had Qin Chu. At this rate, Huamin and Qin Chu were already in a secret marriage. However, it was enough for him to see Mian again. Hearing her speak and seeing her bright eyes, Su Yu raised his left hand that wasn't injected and touched his neck. The amulet was still there. He looked at his left wrist and saw that the peace rope that Master Wu had given him was still there. These things constantly reminded him that he was from the future. Suddenly, he thought of something and picked up his phone to make a call. Then, in the next second, Wei Liao and Tang Chuan rushed in. "Lord Su, how is it? Which leg is it? Will it affect your posture?" Young Master Tang's words were indeed dirty, just like his personality. Wei Liao didn't say anything and just smiled at Su Yu. Seeing his old friend again. His heart was filled with excitement. However, Su Yu had no choice but to pretend to be calm. "You two came to see me empty-handed? What else? Do I have to carry a big rooster for you?" Tang Chuan teased. "Su Yu, or black chicken soup?" Wei Liao continued. "I'm not in confinement. Stop bullshitting me." Su Yu was speechless. Stop joking. "Lord Su. How did you lose this time? Your driving skills can be called the god of racing, how can you lose to that little brat?" "No, his car was tampered with. When he lost control at the edge of the cliff, he almost flipped over. You saved him?" Tang Chuan was stunned. "I guess so. I can't just watch him and his car flip over." Su Yu recalled a car accident many years ago. He had strained his ligaments and was hospitalized at South Side. Originally, he was racing with a young racer, but that kid's car broke down halfway. Almost killed. Suyu had saved him in a moment of desperation, but he had gotten stuck and strained his ligaments. Fortunately, it wasn't serious. Speaking of which, this was a very low-key good deed that Suyu had done. Sure, our Lord Su is doing charity now, don't tell me it's useless. When I recover. Do you want to arrange a drinking party? I want to drink. Suyu was eager to try. He couldn't remember how long it had been since he had drunk with these two guys. No problem. When you recover and are discharged, you can drink as much as you want in my wine cellar. Tang Chuan was also generous. At this moment, the door to the ward opened again. Boss, when An walked in, Suyu felt a lump in his throat and was touched. This kid had been with him for many years, and he never left him even in his dreams. After everyone left, he wondered how An was doing. Boss, the thing you asked me to investigate. An was about to say. Suyu interrupted him. Ahem. There's no rush. We'll talk about it later. Go and buy us some drinks. I want orange juice. Suyu sent An away. After Tang Chuan and Wei Liao left, Suyu called An in alone. Boss. I found out what you asked me to investigate. How is it? Suyu actually wanted to ask how long Qin Chu had been back and how long he had been secretly married to Huamin. Boss, are you mistaken? There's no such person as Qin Chu. At least, there's no such person here. There are many people in the country, but their age and education don't match. Most importantly, the Miss Hui you asked me to investigate did have a boyfriend, but his name is Ning Ziyuan. I heard that they broke up and Miss Hua is single now. What did you say? Suyu looked at An in shock. Chapter 45-50. An was shocked by his boss's question. He stammered, Boss, please recall carefully. Did you remember the name wrongly? I really didn't find Qin Chu. Impossible. Hearing An's report, Suyu rejected it without hesitation. How could there be no Qin Chu? He was the man Huamin loved the most in her life, his most powerful opponent. Then, do you want me to investigate again? Go. Suyu was a little flustered. He waved his hand and asked An to leave first. Then, he lay on the bed with mixed feelings. He did not know what he was experiencing. What was this? But he was indeed back. He touched the edge of the bed and looked at everything in the ward. It did not seem like a dream. However, it was hard to say. The dream created by the dream creator was exactly the same as the real thing. Could it be that he had encountered another nightmare? Was there no Qin Chu in the nightmare? Suyu's mind went wild. He thought of a lot of things that he could think of and couldn't think of. He tried to convince himself. The next morning, Huamin came to give Suyu an injection in the morning as instructed. She was wearing a loose white coat. When she entered, Suyu was eating breakfast. Lady Su was feeding her son porridge. You're not done yet. I'll come back later. Huamin saw that Suyu was eating and turned to leave. No. I'm full. Come and give me an injection. Suyu quickly wiped his mouth. Son, didn't you just eat 2 mouthfuls? Lady Su looked at her son in surprise. She could not understand him. Mom, I have no appetite. I won't eat for now. Please go out for a while. I need an injection. So what if I get an injection? What does it matter if I go out or not? Madame Su was baffled. Suyu smiled slightly. How is that the same? You're in the room, and I'm nervous. What if my hand trembles and the nurse stabs it in the wrong way? Who's going to be responsible then? Lady Su. All right, Mother Empress. Hurry up and leave. Be good, Suyu coaxed his mother out. Only he and Huamin were left in the ward. Hua Min was wearing a pair of black-rimmed glasses. His outfit made him look very old-fashioned. After all, the young nurses at South Side were all dressed sexily. Hua Min, on the other hand, was well-behaved. Was he doing this on purpose? You haven't eaten anything yet, so your stomach might feel uncomfortable if you get in for drip. Are you sure you don't want to continue eating? Hua Min looked at him and asked in the tone of a professional nurse. I can eat. How about you feed me? Suyu looked at Hua Min with a cheeky smile. You're not my son, why would I feed you? Sure enough, even though time had traveled, even in a dream, Hua Min was still Hua Min. He was sharp-tongued and didn't hesitate to scold others. Suyu had experienced this many years ago. At that time, he felt very wronged when he was scolded. Now that he was scolded by Hua Min again, he felt very happy. After Hua Min skillfully inserted the needles into Suyu, he looked at the foredrip. Don't move around. Watch yourself. There are 3 bottles today. When you want to change the medicine, ring the bell and call me. Can't you stay and watch the foredrip for me? I spend a lot of money at your hospital. Suyu continued to tease him. Do you think you're the only patient I have? I have to go next door. If you want someone to watch you, you might as well pay a nurse. After speaking, Hua Min stood up to leave. Hey. Mian. No, Miss Hua, do you know Qin Chu? Suyu asked in a panic. In fact, he regretted asking this question. What if the answer wasn't what he wanted? Wouldn't he be making things difficult for himself? Chapter 45-51. Hua Min froze when he heard Qin Chu's name. Then, he shook his head. I don't know him. Suyu stared into her eyes the whole time. Eyes were the best at telling lies. Besides, Hua Min was a person who never liked to lie. After Hua Min finished speaking, he opened the door and left. Suyu, on the other hand, couldn't suppress the ecstasy in his heart. Without Qin Chu, there really wouldn't be a Qin Chu. Last night, he asked him to check again and again, but he still couldn't find anyone in the city who matched Qin Chu. Most importantly, there was no GK Corporation or the Qin family. What Suyu didn't know was why such a bug would appear after time was turned back. Without Qin Chu, what kind of ecstasy would Suyu be? He would no longer have to bear the accusation of being a third party, and he would no longer have to carefully have a crush on Hua Min. He would be good friends with her for life. According to the information and brought back, Hua Min's relationship history was as follows. When she was in university, she had a boyfriend named Ning Ziyuan. Later, when the two families were planning to buy a house and get married, she found out that Ning Ziyuan had an affair with a female nurse from the first hospital, and then Hua Min broke up with him. Then, she was transferred to South Side. Everything was exactly the same as before. Except that Qin Chu was missing. Could it be that this was a special gift from God to him? Suyu was so excited that he wanted to cry. He never thought that he would have the chance to experience such a moment. At this moment, Lady Su came back and went straight into the kitchen. She heated up the porridge and continued to bring it to Suyu. Son, come, eat some more. Otherwise, your stomach will feel uncomfortable. Mom, I'll do it myself. Suyu happily picked up the spoon with his other hand and drank big mouthfuls. Be careful, no one will steal it from you. Don't burn yourself. Mom, you look so beautiful today. This dress is beautiful. Is it the one I gave you for your birthday last time? Yes, you have good taste. Your dad also said that this style suits me. Lady Su was in a good mood. She adjusted the scarf around her neck. This brand is not bad. I'll buy more for you when I go on a business trip to Europe. Oh, what's wrong with you today? You seem to be in a good mood. A mother knew her son best. Lady Su realized that her son, who had always been bad-tempered, was in a good mood today. He was still in the mood to praise her dress, and even promised to buy her a new dress. The sun really rose from the west. Although Su Yu had always been filial and treated her well, her son would never tell her about buying a dress. Mom. I like a girl. Su Yu's words stunned Lady Su. Then, Lady Su sighed. I know. Isn't she the girl in your company who recently acted in a costume drama? She's pretty, but your grandfather doesn't like people in the entertainment industry. I'm sure you know that. If you like her, date her first. If it's really to the point of marriage, you can ask her to leave the entertainment industry and keep a low profile for a while. Then, bring her back for everyone to see. Elders were always very cautious when it came to relationships. Lady Su didn't like gossip. She was a real rich lady and was very cultured. However, she still paid a lot of attention to her son's matters. She knew very well what kind of shows Su Yu's entertainment company produced every year and who he supported. Lady Su knew that her son had been supporting a girl named Zhao Qingya recently. She thought that Su Yu was talking about her. Who knew? It was someone else. Mom, it's not Zhao Qingya. She's not from my company. My company is just putting on a show. This girl is the one I really like. How do you like her? Tell me, Lady Su said with a smile as she peeled an apple. When I saw her, my heart raced. Then I felt like all the flowers in the world had bloomed. Su Yu said emotionally. Chapter 45-52. Su Yu's description made Lady Su convulse with laughter. Su Yu was speechless. Mom, is it that funny? For my son to use such mushy words to describe her. This girl isn't simple. Tell me, where did such a magical conch girl come from? How did she charm you? Forget it, I won't tell you for now. I'll tell you when I catch up with her and have news. You mean, you haven't succeeded yet? Su Yu nodded. Yes, I haven't succeeded. Okay, when you succeed, bring her home and have a meal with me. Mom, you'll definitely like her very much. Since Lady Su and Huamin were so close, Su Yu was full of confidence. You're that confident? Yes, she's a very, very good girl. Su Yu used two very, very words, which piqued Lady Su's curiosity. After Lady Su took care of her son, she went home with the bodyguards and maids. When she bumped into him in the corridor, Lady Su did not forget to ask him, has young master been in contact with any girls recently? No, young master has been in the hospital recently. It's inconvenient for him to move around, so he hasn't gone anywhere. Could it be someone from the hospital? After saying this, Lady Su left the hospital curiously. Su Yu was bored as he stared at his 4-bottle. He felt that he was walking too slowly, so he reached out and sped up the 4-drip. When he saw that the medicine was about to run out, he immediately pressed the bell. Sure enough, in less than 3 minutes, Huamin came over from the on-call desk. You're done so soon. Huamin looked at the 4-bottle. It was indeed almost empty. Yeah. Hurry up and change the dressing, Su Yu said with a smile. Huamin looked up and swapped the new 4-drip with the one he had just brought. Then, he glanced at Su Yu. Don't go so fast. It'll irritate your stomach. Got it, Madam Nurse. Hearing how Su Yu addressed him, Huamin was slightly startled. Didn't they say that an ancestor was staying in this VIP ward? What did he mean by, the man of the hour, in the city? His temper was extremely bad. Why couldn't Huamin see a trace of violence on his face? On the contrary, she felt that he was a polite and patient person after interacting with him a few times. What the hell? Huamin was about to leave after changing his dressing. Su Yu picked up a big apple with his other hand. Miss Nurse. Huamin turned around. Su Yu directly threw the apple over. Fortunately, Huamin reacted in time and caught it. What? She looked at him. Thank you for your help. I'll treat you to an apple. Che, Huamin clicked his tongue and laughed. He picked up the apple and left. as soon as Huamin left and came in. Then, he heard his boss in a particularly beautiful mood. Why was he in a particularly beautiful mood? Because he was whistling. What kind of song was he whistling, and listened carefully, and almost spat out? Because the melody was, secretly asking the holy monk if his daughter was beautiful. Was his daughter beautiful? Wasn't this the theme song of Journey to the West? What was wrong with his boss? Why was he whistling all of a sudden? And walked over quietly. Boss. Yes? Did you win the two-colored ball first prize? And asked in a low voice. Suyu was speechless. What nonsense are you thinking about all day? The lottery is a scam. It's specially made to trick a little idiot like you. That's strange. What made you so happy that you actually started whistling? And was puzzled, you're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.